Hey, yo, Jay, can we get some ratchet one time?
Look, I don't wanna talk. How you try and press the kid and really you was soft. All you know is capping, homie, you don't know the law. Pedal to the metal, you ain't catching me in park. I just hit the stop, I don't wanna speak. Talking all that good, so I just hit you with the plays. Running up the score like Tyreek, I'm going deep. Watch me how I'm saucing, I be spreading it with ease. You gon' see the peace, you gon' see the flex when you hear these writtens. Trust me, you know the difference. I got a long ways to climb before you see a slippage. I see the process and the journey I'm supposed to be, but perplexed, cause I don't really see nobody close to me. Hopefully this ain't wasted and I know it ain't. You gotta take the time for seasoning to marinate. You need the patience under pressure just to detonate. I'm trying to blow up and these heathens need to get it straight. Gifted with a vision and precision, I'm just trying to make it high key. Might be breaking free like I was Zion in some Nikes. Tucked at the crib, bro, you know just where to find me. Making beats and spitting crack verses pretty likely. Yeah, socks with the burst, boy, I ain't changed a bit. Normal guy till I die, you know what it is. You probably thought I'd give up now that I got some kids, but really now I got these arrows aiming at your ribs. I don't wanna talk. How you try and press the kid and really you was soft. All you know is capping, homie, you don't know the law. Pedal to the metal, you ain't catching me in park. I just hit the stop, I don't wanna speak. Talking all that good, so I just hit you with the plays. Running up the score like Tyreek, I'm going deep. Watch me how I'm saucing, I be spreading it with ease. You gon' see the peas. Hey, please be on the notice, these my motives. Bought my chicken and it's rotis. You parsimonious, you take it all cause you a locust. My focus is to grow this mission. A visionary, get a dictionary. We here off the ribbon, we ain't sharing, we just caring. Let me speak it to the manager. We damage her, no you ain't messing with an amateur. I'm ramming, the competition ain't standing up. They fanning from left to right cause now they branded us. Now who that is? Mike Jones, they ain't want me now, they all on me. Got counterfeits trying to play me, I guess they thinking I'm Sony. These big head dummies showing up and out of their character. Homie, you need a price cause without it the squad ain't hearing you. Top of that, we ain't fearing it. We swinging for the fences with the sting of a left hook that connects with Sonny Liston. I'm dismissing any and all of the disrespect. Nonetheless, it ain't a threat, I'm just letting y'all know who's next. I don't wanna talk. How you try and press the kid and really you was soft. All you know is capping, homie, you don't know the law. Pedal to the metal, you ain't catching me in park. I just hit the stop, I don't wanna speak. Talking all that good, so I just hit you with the plays. Running up the score like Tyreek, I'm going deep. Watch me how I'm saucing, I be spreading it with ease. You gon' see the peas, you gon' see the...
Yeah, I got money on my phone and money on me. I got all these hoes, but still lonely. They been blowing on that strong, but still so weak. I've been hiding a drone, but still low-key. We been sitting on the floor, they in the nosebleeds. Lately I've been in control, they can't control me. Yeah, they about to get exposed for being so cheap. I've been sticking to the code and I ain't gon' cheat. Yo, grew my hair and took the grill out. Think it's time to put it back in. Trying to get into that big house, turn the crib into the mansion. Needed something with that big bounce. You know I had to hit Jackson. Aaron Rodgers with the quick routes. I'm with the gang, we packing. We on the field at Lambo. Might peel in a Lambo. Running drills in my camo. They know what the M stand for. Still got fam in Hawaii, yeah. Couple fans in the lobby, yeah. Couple grand in my pocket, yeah. Couple grams of wasabi, yeah. Eye it up, no glasses. Light it up, no matches. Wife it up, no ratchets. Might turn my wife to an actress. And we gon' make a movie, no Kim K. Give a fuck about what your friends say. I got money on my phone and money on me. I got all these hoes, but still lonely. They been blowing on that strong, but still so weak. I've been hiding a drone, but still low-key. We been sitting on the floor, they in the nosebleeds. Lately I've been in control, they can't control me. Yeah, they about to get exposed for being so cheap. I've been sticking to the code and I ain't gon' cheat.
I'm just sticking to the code, I keep it so G. She asked me what I smoke, I'm smoking OG. I don't fool with too many, only catch me 4 deep. Gotta stay away from snakes, swear these people so creep. I've been grinding for a minute, many labels so asleep. These rappers drop a song, be hot for about a week. I put Gucci on my toes, I keep some cold feet. I ain't paying for no hoes, you niggas know me. I'm about to body the beat. I keep me a hottie with me. She wanna for a fee. Give me that for free. Keep me some money on me. Smoking the gas, keep. You with me, sheesh. But need OG, keep.
I got money on my phone and money on me. I got all these hoes, but still lonely. They been blowing on that strong, but still so weak. I've been hiding a drone, but still low-key. We been been sitting on the floor, they in the nosebleeds. Lately I've been in control, they can't control me. Yeah, they about to get exposed for being so cheap. I've been sticking to the code and I ain't gon' cheat.
Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll, and it's time to run it up, yeah you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor, ayy, on the roll, here we go. Yeah, we winning by a landslide. Never see me coming on my landmine. Yeah, I ain't taking orders in command like, yeah, you about to see me on demand like, you know on demand. If you ain't know, you about to understand. Yeah, I got the team by my side, right hand. Yeah, take it to a string, you ain't seen it like that. Yeah, and it's the dream, and we coming for the bag. Yeah, and we ain't ever going back now. Future expedited, now we on the fast track now. They won't lend a hand, now they see us on the map now. It's time to act out. Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll, and it's time to run it up, yeah you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor, ayy, on the roll, here we go, yeah, at the top of the class on a roll, ayy, and it's time to run it up, yeah, you know, yeah, maxed out, put the pedal to the floor, yeah, on the roll, here we go, here we go. Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll, and it's time to run it up, yeah you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor, ayy, on the roll, here we go, yeah, at the top of the class on a roll, ayy, and it's time to run it up, yeah you know, yeah, maxed out, put the pedal to the floor, yeah, on the roll, here we go, here we go. Here we go. On a roll, here we go, here we go.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to The Dump Show, the Frankie Candles live stream every single weekday right here at 5:45 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And Bitcoin just going to zero, guys. Just absolutely going to zero. But we are getting a bounce here, guys, from our last key level of support that we were looking at before that dropped down to $72,000 to $70,000. We were able to hold that weekly naked point of control that we were looking at. The real question is here, guys, is the low in? Are we going to get the bigger bounce to the upside, or are we going to continue down to the bigger target at around $72,000 to $70,000? I want to do an overall update with you guys today as we have gotten that next drop down. I'm going to kind of go on the higher time frames, talk about the market structure and kind of the bearish scenario playing out here. As you guys know, we have been looking at that 2-day money flow crossover into the red, anticipating potential lower highs and lower lows. And unfortunately, we did get that. Pushing into our next key level. I want to give you guys the next key levels to the downside. Although they do remain the same, I kind of want to go over everything with you guys, give you kind of like an overall top-down view of the market right now. If we do continue down, what is it going to look like long-term? Is there alt season? Is alt season even in question at this point? I'm going to cover everything with you guys, and then we'll jump down to the lower time frames. We'll talk about some of the, I don't want to say bullish, but like the lower time frames look like they might be able to bounce. But I'm going to give you guys overall what I'm thinking here, so you're prepared on that next move for Bitcoin. And yeah, crazy stuff here, guys. Crazy stuff here. But yeah, we'll break it all down for the Candle Mafia. But thank you guys all for tuning in. I appreciate every single one of you guys for hanging out with us here and spending your precious time with your boy Frankie Candles and the rest of the Candle Mafia. You guys are the best community on YouTube, so smash that like button. If we get 1,000 likes on tonight's live stream and your bags are down, hopefully we could just give away some free crypto on Friday and kind of artificially manipulate your bags to the upside. But shout out to everybody in the chat. Let's go. Shout out to Servando Estrada in the chat. Oh, my God. Shout out to Servano Estrada. Welcome in, bro. Good to see you in here. Said he's long. Let's go, baby. Let's go. Let's see. Yo, shout out to James. Said, speak slower. Man, is this guy on speed or what? Shout out to James. I wish I could say you were the first person to put that in the chat, but unfortunately, it's our most common comment. But shout out to you, man. Welcome in. You got to be fast to react to these markets. Shout out to James. Welcome in, bro. Good to have you in here. Shout out to Frankie J in the chat, guys. We even got Sauce in the chat. Actual Sauce in the chat. Shout out to Sauce. Welcome in. We got Seth Shepard in the chat. Said, I longed Solana, long Solana and Cardano. Shout out to Seth. And as you guys know, we were looking at those levels on Solana sitting between about, I think, 108 and 101,000, 108 and $101. And, I hate bringing up those lower levels, guys, but we are sitting there. Even Ethereum coming down to our lower targets. Are we going to be able to hold? I want to take a look at Ethereum today as well, because Ethereum low-key does not look really that great. And I want to talk about some lower targets. Hopefully we don't have to see them, but I don't know how likely it is that we don't see them. Let's see. Don't blink in this market. Shout out to Irvin. Welcome in, bro. We got Poster in the chat. Welcome in, bro. Guys, don't forget, we do have our mods in here. We got Rob the Crypto Snob, Crypto Anon, Crypto Billy, Chemistry Bro, Tyler Durden, Dave Digital, Darren Does Things. You guys know who they are. Show them some love in the chat if you have not already. Let's see. Frankie J said, past that. Shout out to Frankie J. I'm not the only Frankie here today, guys. So shout out to Frankie J, not to be confused with Frankie C. Gen Z in the chat, long time no see, bro. Welcome in. Said 100K sold confirmed. Buy it now. 100x long on Solana. It's going to $100,000. Shout out to Rob the Crypto Snob. Said, at your service, Don Candle. Shout out to Rob the Crypto Snob. Thank you for being here. But yeah, guys, we got a lot to look at on the charts today. So without further ado, let's just go ahead and jump right into it and see if we can figure out this next move on Bitcoin. And hopefully it's not going to be another move to the downside. Let's get into it. So here we are. Hey, shout out to Jesse in the chat. Said, come on, it's free. It's free to do it. Really supports the channel. Hit that like button. Shout out to Jesse. He's our like police guy. So if he asks you to kindly touch that like button with your whatever you want to touch it with, we don't judge you. Just smash that like button at least 3 times. But without further ado, guys, let's go ahead and take a look here. Now, obviously, guys, we did get that next drop to the downside. And I was talking to the premium Discord earlier today, talking about how, this is not the most shocking drop to the downside. And why is that, right? Well, very simply, we, number one, have our money flow on those higher time frames in the red. And we know that the money flow indicates the longer term trend, guys. We talk about this. I say it every single live stream, and as long as we have those money flows, especially on the daily and the 2-day, which were the 2 big bearish time frames, we could look for potential pushes to the upside off the green dots, or even if you have those 2-day bullish divergences, which we did actually have down here last time we got that drop, little 2-day bull div. We could look for those moves to the upside, guys, but they have to be looked at as lackluster retracements for lower highs and potential continuations, breaking structure to the downside once again, where we had that next key level of support, which I will bring up in just a second. But I really wanted to just start off here on a clean chart and just break everything down for you guys, because I know this is an extremely emotional time in the market. I know a lot of people are scared right now. A lot of people are probably, if they haven't already, they're probably sitting there with their finger on the sell button, ready to panic. And I just kind of want to approach the charts here from an unbiased view, right? Emotions, as always, off, kind of out of our strategy here, and just take a logical binary look at the market just based off the price action. So obviously we have that daily money flow, which did give us the idea that we were going to see the continuation of our downtrend. And since then, we have obviously put in lower highs and lower lows, breaking down out of our macro range here. And then after we saw that daily money flow crossover into the red, guys, coming on over to the 2-day, shortly after we did get that confirmation of that 2-day money flow crossover into the red, where we did actually end up putting in that 2-day bullish divergence. And we were looking for longs down there in the premium Discord, but in the context of potential lower highs and lower lows to come. And the reason for that is just based simply off our money flow, right? Money flow indicates a longer-term trend. As long as that money flow stays in the red, guys, you have to look at those bounces as lackluster retracements for lower highs and lower lows. And I do say that in the same exact cadence on purpose, so hopefully it kind of sticks in everybody's head, right? You might look at the chart here and be like, oh my God, we got a 2-day bull div, but we have the money flow crossing into the red. So it's okay to look for that bounce, but you have to look at it to be lackluster for retracements for lower highs and lower lows to come. And as we always talk about, where are those lower highs likely to come in at? And I'm actually going to bring this level up once again because it's not totally invalidated as of yet, but we did have the golden pocket sitting up here on that retracement to the upside. If we got that larger retracement, this was going to be a very, very big level, because at the time that was our full golden pocket retracement. It's also the POC of our volume profile here. If you pull it like this, you can see that POC is sitting right there as well. We also have a bunch of other levels sitting in there on top of the golden pocket and the POC. And this would just be that full golden pocket retracement when pulled from the high to the low. You can look for that retracement into the golden pocket, but we know that there is no guarantee that you're going to come up for that full Fibonacci retracement. So we are going to be looking at those local retracements as well. And this is what we were looking at as we had from this local high to the low on that retracement. Our first kind of golden pocket retracement, or golden pocket 786, was sitting between right here, 88,000, all the way up to the 786 value area low confluence, sitting at about $91,000. So if we weren't going to get that push up to the $91,000 value area low, we could look for rejections here. And we actually did have short setups here. We did take that short setup in the premium Discord, wrote it to the downside, got the move back to the upside, actually had the long setup there as well. And then we had another short setup at the top, and I did personally take that short position up here. And then you guys know I took this. This was live on stream. I accidentally closed the whole position in full, which was kind of nice because I made a bunch of money, but also kind of annoying because we missed out on the extra downside. But that's totally fine. A win is a win. But just to kind of mark that out, right? Like the 2-day money flow made us anticipate, or I'm sorry, the 2-day green dots and bullish divergences make us look for that ride to the upside. But we're never losing our bearings on the context of the market, right? Well, if money flow is coming on the higher time frames, we're looking for that now trend to continue. We can't be looking to ride that up into massive new all-time highs. Now, is it possible to rip up there? Sure, right? But the probabilities are going to be much more likely to give you that lower high and lower low. And we didn't even get up to the value area low of this range, guys. We just rejected that local Fibonacci retracement, and we wound up putting in that lower low where we had our next key level of support. And I'm going to bring that up in just a second. But before I do that, guys, as of right now, right, there's a few different things that we can look at, right? As long as this money flow is in the red from a very simple standpoint, from a very simple standpoint, until this money flow comes back into the green, guys, we have to anticipate lower highs and lower lows. Now, a lot of people ask me, is the bear market here? And my stance on that has not changed, right? Ever since we came down to about $76,000, we were, or, I would say 77, right? 76 and change. At the end of the day, guys, we are definitely, obviously, this is bearish market structure, right? On the daily, a lot of these time frames are obviously bearish from a local standpoint, but at the end of the day, right? If we come up to a higher time frame, obviously, we do have some lower levels that we could keep an eye on. And in my opinion, right, to confirm that the bear market is here, or not to confirm if the bear market is here, but we could potentially come down and really start testing some of these lower levels and put in a higher low before continuing back to the upside. So this next drop to the downside has not necessarily just made me go, oh my God, that's it. It's the bear market. Everything's going to zero, right? That's very important to realize. But, the as of right now, right, like the trend is to the downside on the higher time frames. 2-day money flow stays in the red. I am still treating any bounce that we get as lower highs and lower lows, and that has been the right decision so far, right? We were not looking for this to go up to $1 million, and we're going to kind of keep that view on the market, right? Just based off money flow and market structure as well, right? If you're not looking at indicators, this is obviously a clear downtrend. So the idea is, hey, we're going to continue this trend until the end, right? And very likely, once the low actually comes in, maybe this is the low. Again, I'll talk about that in a little bit. If this was the low, we're still going to view it as lackluster retracements, lower highs and lower lows, and I will talk about those key levels of resistance I am going to be looking at, just like we looked at this golden pocket up here. There's very similar levels sitting around here as well. However, if we do wind up coming up, right, we start flipping those levels and we start to show a little bit more strength, then maybe we'll say to ourselves, hey, now money flow is coming up, crossing over into the green. Now we can look for the bigger move up. But as of right now, guys, this is the nice thing about the charts, right? Until this tells me something different, I am just going to use this as my guide on what price is likely going to do next. And very simply put, the daily and 2-day money flow is still in the red, and that 3-day is continuing to the downside. And just an honorable mention here, guys, this weekly, once we start seeing this weekly money flow crossover into the red, that is going to be one of the bigger, super bearish warning signals that I will be looking for, because there has not been a time where we have crossed over into the red on the weekly and it has not caused a massive drop on Bitcoin. And at that point, right, that's where we're going to be looking for that full 4-year cycle bear market. But again, as of right now, as long as we're able to remain above these highs, and it is getting a little bit sketchy, I'm not going to lie, there are some key levels I want to look with you guys down here from this previous area of consolidation, right? So let's assume that we are going to continue the downside here, and maybe we get a little relief rally, right? And we do continue down. Obviously, the next key levels of support still remain down here. I've shown these levels a million times over the past few, probably a couple months, honestly. Value area high sitting here at about 70,200. So at the end of the day, right, if we do continue down, don't forget that we also have our golden pocket retracement sitting right about here, right? So you have the 72,000. This comes in at about 72,400, all the way down to the confluence that we have here. And again, this is a key level of support. However, I do like the confluence down here closer to the value area high a little bit better, right? So let's assume maybe we get a little rally, and we're going to cover the lower time frames and try to figure out what's going to go on in here, or at least what I'm looking at personally. But if we do continue the lower highs and the lower lows, this is very likely going to be the next level that we're looking at, guys, sitting near $70,000. Hopefully we can hold the top of the golden pocket, but again, not not a lot of confluence here. Really, the confluence comes in at the value area high with the bottom of the golden pocket, and we also have some key levels just underneath that as well. And I guess I'll just pull them up right now. I'll actually take this off the chart, and I'll pull up the actual folder that we've been showing forever. So here it is, right? We have the previous volume profile. We have balance up here, balance down here. Once you impulse out of this area of balance, price is very likely to seek out a previous area of balance. So if we continue kind of searching around down here, we are very likely to get gravitated towards that $70,000 value area high. Now, this blue box does have some kind of confluence in here, guys. And in my opinion, this is the absolute last chance to bounce, right? Because if we get stuck under this POC, right, and there's one more level underneath this that I'm watching as well, but as soon as we get accepted into this volume profile, guys, if we can't come down here and start to recover very quickly, this is your bullish case, right? Or I would say bearish bullish case, right? If we do continue down, there is still an opportunity to put in a higher low over here, sneak out of this volume profile, and send it back up to higher prices. Now, this is obviously going to be very tied to things like rate cuts and all the crazy macro stuff that we have going on here. Now, remember, if we really see the macro situation get much, much worse, understand, like, Bitcoin has never been through something like a 2008 financial crisis or anything like that. So that kind of breaks the 4-year cycle at that point. If we do see that, we don't know how Bitcoin's going to behave. You know, I think we all wish that, like, people just flock to crypto, right? Oh my God, everything's falling apart, go to crypto. But I just don't know if we're there yet, right? But at the end of the day, this is still the next key level, right? Like, and the reason I bring this up, guys, again, is because a lot of people ask me, is the bear market here? And in my opinion, until we decisively get stuck under this level, that's really where I'm getting much more bearish on Bitcoin and expecting much more downside. Until then, there is opportunity, right? It's not a guaranteed yes or no, we're going up or we're going down. We have to see what price action looks like when we get down here, right? So, you know, once we start losing those levels, that's really where I think that's where we're really at risk of a full-on bear market coming in. Until then, maybe we just see the macroeconomic turbulence give us a little bit more of a move down. We see some kind of like a black swan event, right? I would consider this somewhat black swanny, for another big move up. Now, POC, these real levels that I do not want to lose, right? Again, golden pocket, value area high between about $72,000 and $70,000. And then just underneath that, we do have some other key levels to look at, which are going to be sitting, let me go ahead and pull them up, right? We have a daily level sitting down here. Let me pull up actual daily chart, right? So we have a daily level sitting down here. Is this one tapped? Hang on, I think we actually, yeah, so we have a daily level here. I think there's another one right here. Technically, yeah, I don't know why this is not here. Another daily. So you have two daily levels down here on top of some other confluence here. We have a daily naked point of control sitting just below that value area high, and then we also have a weekly naked point of control sitting just a bit lower than that. So really, when we come down here, guys, you know, how this is going to play out is going to be very, very hard to predict, right? But if we do get down there, I am not really freaking out, because if we come down here and retest this POC, I talk about this a lot with the volume profiles. Oftentimes, when you break out of a volume profile in a very big way, sometimes you will come back down to retest the point of control or even just the previous highs before building up some support and then sending it off to a new high. Now, really the line in the sand there for the bounce is going to be, right, again, POC, I'd love to hold that, right? But this weekly naked point of control, what is this coming at? $65,698. Like, that's really what you want to stay above, because at that point, if you get down here and you start losing that, you're also getting stuck below the POC. And where are we going to expect price to go if we can't get back above that POC, guys? We're going to be looking down towards the value area low. And I know that when we get down here, especially if we get a retracement, right, it's going to be like, oh my God, are we really about to see Bitcoin get stuck under this POC and head back down to the value area low? Well, just take it from Ethereum. Right? When we take a look at Ethereum, you guys will know that we've been looking at this larger volume profile, right? And actually, let me pull this up in a little bit of a different context, right? If I pull up the volume profile that we were looking at, as you know, right, we were getting stuck under this POC. And we even looked for this rally to the upside, but we talked about how it's not that exciting, right? Because even if we break back above this POC, you're just going to run into another key level of resistance, which is that value area high. And there is a chance that if we get stuck under this value area high and lose the POC once again, where is that next level of interest going to be? It's going to be sitting down towards the value area low, 786, and then also the daily and the weekly level that we had down there. And what happens, guys? We see Ethereum get rejected from the value area high, lose the POC again, and we absolutely nuked through the value area low. I don't even know if we got a low time frame reaction on that. Maybe if you came down to the 1 minute, you could find some kind of like one minute, reaction off that value area low. But for the most part, yeah, like you came down here, you were like, nah, and then you just lost it, right? But that's why we look at this as a zone, right? It's not just the value area low, but it's also the daily and the weekly level. We slipped them, and now we're attempting to maybe try to get our way back up here. But I'm going to cover Ethereum more in depth, but I just want to show you guys that, like, once you get in here, right, we even tried to get out, right? But once you get accepted into that range or lose the POC, you're going to be looking for that drop down to the low. So it's the same thing on Bitcoin, right? If we come on down there, we get stuck under this POC, maybe even rally up to the value area high. But if you can't get out of that range, guys, you are going to be looking for that full rotation of the volume profile, right? It's what we look at every single day, whether we're looking at the 15-minute, the 20-minute, the 50-minute, the 2-hour, the 4-hour, the daily, or the weekly. It's always going to be the same thing. So, and this has been my plan for a while, right? We've been open to that continuation down based off bearish money flow, right? Money flow being in the red on the daily and the 2-day and coming out on the higher time frames, with the anticipation of, in the worst case scenario, maybe coming down and testing some of these other levels. But there is a lot of support down here, but that doesn't just mean insta-bounce, right? It means that you have to hold it. If you don't hold it, you flip it to resistance. That's very bad, right? Especially because you're getting stuck inside that volume profile. So those are still the key levels of the downside, $72,000 to $70,000. And if you guys remember to last week, what we were looking at on the charts, talking about how we did have our local resistance that we could bounce off of, which is where we're sitting right now. And that was like the last line in the sand. So let me bring up those levels real quick. Let's see here. Bada boom, bada bing. Let me pull up the current range. So obviously, last week, we were bing-bonging around in this volume profile, caught this nasty short from the top, and then accidentally closed my position in full, guys. I would have been up so much on that, but that's totally fine, right? I don't want to I don't even want to show that I'm even a little bit emotional about missing the rest of that drop to the downside. Because the way we trade here with the volume profiles, guys, is obviously we look for longs at the lows, shorts at the highs, longs at the lows, shorts at the highs. All of these were long setups and short setups in the premium Discord. The reason it's frustrating is because I didn't mean to close the position in full, right? I just meant to take partial profits and wound up accidentally closing it in full because I thought I had hedge mode on, but it wasn't on. But either way, the beauty of that is when you short at the value area highs, right, we are looking at that to play out in full to the value area low of the range. But at that point, you can hold a portion of that position in case, right, because people say, hey, Frankie, I love the volume profiles. I'm getting nice longs. I'm getting nice shorts through the ranges. But how do I know whether it's going to break down or break out, right? Like, we're not going to range around forever. But when you trade the volume profiles like this, if you see things like 2-day money flow or you see any bearish confirmations that look like you're going to break down, you could hold a portion of that position with profits locked in, stop loss to break even, and then if you do get the breakdown, you could hold a portion of that position and turn it from a simple range trade into an absolute runner. And as we deviate below this range, right, so we obviously got rejected out of this range, and this is kind of where we looked for our next key level. We had two of them, right? Number one, we were looking at the golden pocket, 7-8, or not the golden pocket, but we were looking at the 786, right here, sitting at $79,000. We also had a daily level there, which is now a tapped daily, and that was the first opportunity to bounce. But if we did not get confirmations here, it was very likely, guys, that we were going to get that next drop to our last level, right, locally, which was, and I'm glad I talked about this because I was almost going to say, I don't know if we're going to dump that hard over the weekend, guys. Maybe I'll just show this level. But we do have that next level down here, which is the weekly and the daily naked point of control that we had sitting below, right? And you can see we did come down. We melted through the daily naked point of control, but we did wind up holding that weekly naked point of control perfectly, right? And we did put in some confirmation down here as well. Now, this was a long setup in the premium Discord. Unfortunately, it's set up at 2 a.m. in the morning for me personally, right? So I was not there to take the trade. But we did get some nice 1-hour bullish divergences down here, and we are getting the bounce. And I want to talk about, if we are going to get a sustainable bounce here, what are the key levels we have to break? There is a line in the sand here, in my opinion, to really start looking for a bigger move up. Because, again, it is not impossible to see a continued retracement here. But, again, in the grand scheme of everything, we have to keep in mind that, these little 2-day rallies, right, like from wick to wick, right, that's a nice 15% pump. That starts to feel really good. But you have to understand the overall context of the market where you're looking for those lower highs and lower lows. And again, I'm going to bring up those local levels of resistance in a minute. But just to show you guys kind of how we got to where we were where we are currently, right? We did not hold these. We had no confirmations in here. Updated the Discord as this happened over the weekend. Just like, hey, guys, not really loving the confirmations that we have down here. I'm going to sit it out personally. And if we do continue to drop down, we're going to be looking for that $75,000 level, right? So I'm going to take this off the chart for now because this is now invalidated. We broke the levels, but we are holding that weekly naked point of control with that nice little bullish divergence. So if we do continue up here, guys, where are we going to be looking at for our next local key levels of support? What is this? Oh, I was like, why is that line so thick? So yeah, if we do continue up here, now I'll tell you what. When we look at the lower time frames, guys, 3-hour, right, money flow coming back into the green, and really what I'm looking at here is the 8-hour. Now, I am not saying that this is an absolute blast-off, moonshot bullish signal. However, locally, with that 8-hour green dot, we could see here our 30-minute money flow starting to continue to creep to the upside. Now, I am not personally long right now, as I just mentioned. However, if we can get that 30-minute money flow crossover, we may be able to get a little bit of a continuation up. However, we have a lot of resistance, right? And we have to keep in mind that we do have that 2-day money flow still in the red, right? Making us, potentially looking for a continuation down. So the next key levels I will be looking at if we do continue that ride to the upside is obviously going to be, these are tapped daily, tapped weekly. So I'm going to actually take these off the chart because they're not as relevant. You can see we flip that daily, hide that. And let's take a look here, right? So very naturally, what we're going to look at are Fibonacci retracements, right? So if we do continue our move to the upside locally here, all eyes on this upper profile. This value area low is sitting at about $81,400. Right? POC sitting up here with a lot of confluence at 84,157, and then we have the value area high sitting up here at about $88,405. So when we look at this, right, we all eyes on this range, and I'm going to kind of bring it all together with a macro perspective. But if we do continue up, right, next major level, right, we deviate below the volume profile. If the retracement continues, that value area low is going to be key resistance until proven otherwise, right? And now we want to start mixing this to see where we have confluence, right? So we just look at this from a volume profile and Fibonacci perspective. I'm going to pull it from our swing high to our swing low, right? Where does that give us confluence? It gives us confluence right on that POC, right? This golden pocket starts at about 83,000 all the way up to the or golden pocket ends at about 83,642. But again, this is also confluent with the point of control, right? So this is going to be somewhat of a nice level of resistance here that I will be looking at, right? Because if we come up, right, value area low is going to be key resistance. If we get above it, we have more confluence above. And another thing to note here, we don't know if we're going to get that full golden pocket retracement of this whole local move. So we have to keep an eye on the local levels as well. So I'm going to pull it from this little lower high that we made all the way to the low as well. And you can see we got more confluence here on the value area low. This golden pocket is actually what we wound up rejecting earlier today. So if we mark that out, now I'm not going to include that golden pocket because we already got the bounce and the rejection, right? So I'm not going to include that, but I'm going to start this zone really, honestly, really between the value area low and the POC, right? With the honorable mention here at the 786. But if we're thinking of this in the continuation of a downtrend, right, we're going to be looking, if we do make it back up here, that lower high could potentially come in at this golden pocket 786, right? It's the same thing that we look at every single time we pull fibs. It's the same exact situation as this larger context, right? Upper value area low, right? And then as we come down here, right, value area low, this is a little bit more difficult because we kind of came up and then rejected and then bearishly retested. But at the end of the day, right, on this lower high, what were we looking at here, right? On any high, right? We even looked at it more locally right here, right? But here, what are we looking at? We're saying, hey, money flow's coming out. If we put a lower high in, where's it going to come in? Very likely between the golden pocket 786. That's exactly where we got the lower high. In the current situation, right, which was pretty much right here, was simply, if we're going to put in a lower high, we're going to be looking at our golden pocket 786, right? That's why, it's part of the reason why this value area high was such key resistance, right? We have the golden pocket, and we actually did take this short, right? I took this short in the premium Discord, and then we wound up coming down, right? I actually missed the long personally, but then we caught the short on the way back down. But this was a key level, right? Because it's a golden pocket, aka a zone between the golden pocket, value area high confluence, and then the 786 was coming in at about 91K, making this entire zone a huge area where we could have put in a lower high to break structure to the downside. And what happened, right? We wound up coming in, rejecting that golden pocket, putting in the lower high, right? Low, lower high, lower low, right? So same exact thing here, right? Just a different kind of scenario, right? Or I guess similar scenario, different context. So just very simply, I'm going to be looking at this. Maybe we reject the local retracement levels here closer to the value area low. But if we get that bigger retracement, right? Golden pocket POC 786. These are the big zones that I'm looking at. Now, here's the thing, right? Not only is this going to be key resistance, but it is also, let me go ahead and bring this stuff back in here so I can hide it. Whoops. If we do end up continuing up here, there is one big thing, right? Actually, I'm going to pull up the range one more time. And you know what I'm going to do here? I'm going to take this off the chart just to clean things up, right? Because I don't want to bring up every single, internal Fibonacci retracement, right? Because again, at the end of the day, guys, we don't know if we're going to get the full retracement or a local retracement. And that's why you kind of have to look at pull your fib not only from the swing high to the swing low, but you could also pull it from lower highs to that low, right? Because you don't know if you're going to get the full retracement. For example, right? You might have price action looking like this, right? You have a high, right? And then you kind of bing bong around, right? If you're looking for lower highs, right? Well, actually, let me do this, right? If you're looking for lower highs, let's say we get a bounce here. We don't know if it's going to be little bit of educational sauce here, right? We don't know if we're going to come up for that full golden pocket retracement. Let me draw this a little bit better, right? So you come up, right? Then you get another drop, right? And then you start to bounce here. If you pull your full fib, right, your golden pocket's going to be, you're going to be looking like, hey, maybe we're going to get that full golden pocket retracement. If we do, that's a high probability area to put a lower high in at, right? But you also have a valid Fibonacci pulled from the lower high, right? So there's no guarantee you're going to get that full move up to the full retracement level. So you can pull it from these lower highs, and that's where you get those kind of internal levels of resistance. And you might say to yourself, well, how do I know which ones are good? Well, for me personally, I like to see what has the most confluence, right? I like to see where those weekly naked points of controls come in, where those daily and weekly level horizontal levels come in, right? So we like to see where we have a lot of confluence, but I just, because like if I mark out every single lower high, like you're going to wind up looking at a chart, like this, where you just have like a million different levels on the chart, and that's just like, in my opinion, just bad information, bad TA. Too much, looking at too much stuff. So I'm not going to bring up every single local level, right? We do that more in the premium Discord where everybody's ready for those exact levels. But in my opinion, right, just generally, that full Fibonacci retracement does come in closer to about 83 to, I would say, about 84K up to that POC. Very important to get above. Now, not only is this a key level of resistance, guys, but if we could flip this, right, if we can get back up into this range, right, back to the simple volume profile analysis, get above this value area low, right, maybe we come into those retracement levels. If we don't get any setups for shorts and we start flipping this POC around 84 to 85K, this is where we can look for the bigger retracement to the value area high. And then again, we are just within our larger volume profile here, right? So we could potentially look for shorts again up here. I'm not going to cover that right now because, we'll see how it plays out. But once we get above this $85,000 level, guys, a lot of people were looking at this large downtrend, and I have even brought it up on live streams before, right? Just pulled like this overall downtrend, right? Like we just keep getting slammed down by this downtrend, right? I'm not a huge trend line trader, but obviously these are worth looking at. You can see we got rejected every single time we've come up to it. And I know a lot of people were expecting some kind of a breakout here for a massive break of the trend line and a huge move to the upside. Now, why did I think that was a little bit less likely? Just based off money flow, right? The context is absolutely king. Now, could you have broken above that, flip that trend line to support, and then rip to the upside? Sure. And we were ready for that, right? Maybe that's where you were going to be looking for the bigger Fibonacci retracement at that golden pocket around $97,000, right? But we didn't get that, right? We wound up projecting the local Fibonacci, right? And that's why we always pay attention to these levels. We didn't necessarily know that shorting here was going to be that next drop to lower lows, right? But we knew there was a probability because, at least some kind of possibility, because there was the golden pocket 786 was sitting there, right? Now, if we get back into this range, the interesting thing in my opinion here is if we get above that value area low, come up above that POC, and we're able to hold support above that POC, it's going to be like that next time where we get that breakout of this trend line, right? We tried to break out here, but it was just that fast wick, right? The absolute, like, just wick up and absolutely slam it back down. But if we can get above that POC, this would be the first kind of sign, in my opinion, that we could at least make it up closer to $88,000 to $91,000, which brings us again to that next key level of resistance. That $91,000 level, guys, is still just as important as it was before, right? So if we do flip $85,000, not only would you be getting above the POC of the local range, which would open up the door to the $88,500 value area high, but you'd also potentially be breaking above this trend line. Now, again, I wouldn't want to see like a big wick up, and a big wick down. That would be the same situation as right here. But if we could sustain support above here, it would be nice to see a push up and then start pushing up towards 91,000. And then you have like, okay, wow, we broke out of this trend line. We're getting back to the value area low. This is again going to be huge macro resistance at that macro value area low. Just like this local value area low is resistance until proven otherwise, this one is going to be the same exact thing, right? You can see we broke out of this range, tried to get back in, bearish retest, key for another move down, right? So it's kind of the same thing locally here. Maybe we come up, maybe we get the resistance, and we get the next leg down. But if not, if we can get above that POC and hold it, just understand you're also breaking above that trend line, which is, again, not something I would be like, oh my God, we're breaking the trend line, we're going to $1 million. But it would open up the door to more downside, which again would be $88,500 into the $91,000 value area low. And that's just simply what I'm going to be looking at. But until now, right, like I said, I'm not holding a long position as of this moment, right? So I am simply remaining patient, guys. We absolutely crushed the trades last week. And I did not force anything, right? Caught the long, the short, missed the long, caught the short, and then even caught a little scalp long on this little retracement to the upside. And I kind of just checked out for the week. I was like, I'm done. I'm not trading anymore. I got what I wanted out of this week, and I'm going to go into the weekend with my profits, right? And then we did look for a bounce here last week. We got the move into the POC. You guys know we were looking at this as somewhat of a more lackluster pump, and the reason for that was simply because we did not have very strong medium time frame confirmation. We only had local bullish divergences, right? We had low time frame bull divs. We had a little 15-minute bull div here into the value area low, which is good for a bounce, right? But that's not really a sign that I look for to indicate a massive fill of a volume profile. It's exactly what we talked about on Friday, right? Like back here, we had a nice 4-hour bullish divergence, which is much stronger than a 15-minute bull div. And it's usually those higher time frame, right? 4-hour bull divs, money flow comes up, you get that full fill of the range. That is nice to see. But here we were looking for some kind of a bounce, but it was viewed as more of a lackluster retracement into the POC, where we also, I think I still have the local resistance sitting here, I believe. Yeah, we had the golden pocket 786 POC confluence. We pushed up into those levels and we lost them, right? So that is, I'm not holding a long position right now. I am being patient, right? I'm waiting for either a bigger push up to look for the shorts. If we could reclaim those levels, we will look for longs on the way back up, right? On those retracements back to the downside. But these are the key resistance levels on the way up. 81,500, golden pocket, right? Fibonacci confluence here. You got your golden pocket starting really at about $81,000-ish because we already tapped this. I'm not putting as much weight on that. But yeah, value area low. You have the 786 sitting up here. And then if you do end up breaking above that level, right, POC and the larger golden pocket 786 retracement is just above, right? So it's kind of a big zone. But, if you don't want to get confused with all the intermediary levels, just understand that, like, this is the volume profile you're looking at. Reclaim it, look for a potential push into the POC, and then just be very careful. If we flip that, we could look to go to the value area high. Just simple, right? Like, that's our roadmap to the upside. We have to get above the value area low. We have to get above the POC to see the value area high. But once we do that, understand the importance of finally being able to see if we can get a daily candle closure above that trend line, aka really the POC, between $84,000 and $85,000. That could be a nice sign that we could get a bigger retracement to the upside, in which case we can look for a bigger move to the upside, guys. Now, is that all-time highs? The low is in forever? Not necessarily. Now, we do have some bullish signals here on Market Cypher B on the higher time frames. It's going to take a little time to print this, but if we have that lower low, which we do have, we also have our, on the 2-day, right? We do have our higher lows on the 2-day, giving us a potential bullish divergence. Now, it's going to be a little bit. You're not going to want to enter on that 2-day bull div, right? By the time this 2-day bull div prints, we're probably going to get the bigger move up. That's why we're going to be looking for entries lower. But if we do get that, right, we're going to look at it exactly as we looked at this last bounce, right? Which very simply put is going to be lackluster, lower high, lower low, right? Until this money flow comes back to the upside, which is going to happen on the daily before it happens on the 2-day, right? So if we get back up here and we start pushing up, right, if you really want to understand, like, hey, are we going much higher or are we just going in for lower highs? Even if we get that 2-day bull div to print, if the high time frame money flow does not start crossing back over into the green, we could still keep our eye out for the lower lows and the lower highs, right? We don't know exactly how this is going to play out. We've put in a bunch of local lower highs, but, these are the key levels to get above now. Right? Very important. If we rally up into this value area low, all eyes on these key levels. And if we get rejected again, we have some local levels that we can look at. I'm not going to get too into these. Again, this is like more what we focus on the in the premium live stream to look for longs on higher lows before we continue up. But if we get the next big leg down, just understand, right? We expected it here. We got the push into the weekly. We're getting the bounce. If we lose this now, right, just because we got a bounce on our key level here for that retracement, it doesn't mean that you expect all-time highs, right? I really want to be clear about that. The context is always going to be king, right? Just like down here, right? Or just like over here, it's the same thing down here. Could we look for the continued bounce? Sure. Do we have 30-minute money flow coming up with an 8-hour green dot? Sure. Can that give you continuation up? Sure, right? But overall, higher time frame money flow stays in the red. We have to be careful here, guys. The trend is your friend until the end, and I cannot be more clear about that, right? But nice to see. If we could get this 2-day bull div, it would be nice for a bounce, right? But until that money flow comes up, I don't know how explosive that's going to be. Even if it gives us a nice move up towards the upper profile, we could reassess the situation. But we really need this higher time frame money flow to continue up. And I know I've been talking about the 2-day money flow and the daily money flow forever now, but it's for a reason, right? It's for a reason. It's not just because I want Bitcoin to go down and I'm trying to reach for things to agree with me, right? It's just I'm looking at the charts. The chart says the overall trend's probably going to continue down. We get the little bounces, and we get the continuations down. And you can see how strong these levels hold up. So if we lose 75K, you guys know this, right? We took a look at this last week. Lose 75K, that's where we're probably going to get the bigger move down towards that golden pocket starting at 72,000, right? And again, not a lot of confluence there. I'd much rather see that, see a reaction at that 70,000 value area high with the bottom of the golden pocket, right? With all that confluence in here that we just went over in the beginning of the stream. So there you go. That's what I'm looking at. So far, 8-hour green dot with the 30-minute money flow is our argument for a continued move to the upside. But we just got to be careful here once we get into these resistance levels, right? And then on that move up, if we really want to start seeing some like big moves up, get above that POC, you'll simultaneously be cracking above that POC. Like when you see that POC in conflict with the trend line like that, maybe you get the break up, right? Assuming we don't get the lower high and the lower low, you would look for a flip of support here. Maybe you retest the trend line, and then you could start to look for the bigger move up, right? Targeting the $91,000 value area low. So yeah, locally, that's what I'm looking at here, guys. That is your local range. Value area low sitting at 81,534. POC sitting at 84,216. Value area high still sitting over here at about $88,436, right? And then just be aware of your Fibonacci retracement, right? Bada boom. Get above there, right? And again, you're getting above that trend line at that point. And then once you crack that 786, maybe we could see the bigger move up. But again, still being careful at that value area high. We are trading this level to level right now, guys. Absolutely 100% level to level. Hey, yo! Shout out to Jason Casper. Hang on one second. Oh, no. What happened here? Let me go back. Where'd it go? There we go. Yo, shout out to Jason Caps. Jason Caption? Jason Casper said, we need you to pump it, FC. Shout out to Jason. Bro, we got to pump this thing. I'll get Mrs. Candles fully inflated tonight. I got to stop saying stuff like that. She is looking a little deflated on the floor right now. But we got to inflate Mrs. Candles, bro. Shout out to Jason, bro. You got to sing the pump song. Send this thing to $1 million. We got to pump this thing back up, bro. What do you think, bro? Jason, let me know what you're thinking if you're still here. I don't know how long ago you sent this super chat, but shout out to Jason Casper. I appreciate you for being here, bro. What are you thinking, bro? Give me a signal. Man. Let's see. Let's see. Yeah, money flow trying to curl up. Yep. Shout out to Jesse on the lower time frames for sure. Let's see. Jason Caption. I don't know why I said that. Aaron says, who is Mrs. Candles? Hang on one sec. I can introduce Mrs. Candles right now. Hang on one sec. Mrs. Candles is my girlfriend, and she's 100% real. She looks a little, she's sick today. So she's a little floppy. But stay awake, Mrs. Candles. Come on. There we go. This is Mrs. Candles. She's usually a little bit more blown up than this, but okay. Keep it alive, Mrs. Candles. All right. But anyway, this is Mrs. Candles. She pumps the market. When we sniff her hand, she pumps the market. But we love her very much. She's my dear Mrs. Candles. But anyway. All right, let's continue on. I don't know why she keeps getting deflated. Awesome TA on the premium live stream. Shout out to Tales of Mystery. I appreciate you so much, bro. Thank you for saying that. I love the premium lives. It's so intimate. We don't have as many. It's easier to see every single chat. Let's see. BTC needs to decouple completely from the stock market to show it's immune to tariffs and create euphoria. Yeah, shout out to Don. That would be nice. That would be very nice. And obviously, man, this is crazy, guys. This is insane, right? The weekly momentum waves here on. Let me get rid of this. The weekly momentum wave here. Let's draw a horizontal line here. The last time we had momentum waves this oversold was all the way back here at the bottom of 2022. Or not the bottom. This was like right before that last little low, right? And then before that, it was 2018. And then before that, it was 2015. And then before that, it was... Yikes. Oh, God. But yeah, we have a lot going on, guys. We have the tariffs. We have a lot going on here. And obviously, Bitcoin is going to be subject to be affected by that, right? I know it's pretty crazy. Like on Friday's live stream, we were talking about how, the SPY, the stock market was looking like garbage and Bitcoin was holding up pretty good, right? Which is pretty weird, right? That's like kind of what we were looking at. We're like, hey, Bitcoin holding up pretty decent here, but, like, why is this happening, right? Like, that's very strange. And sure enough, over the weekend, we saw Bitcoin follow down to that next key level, right? But even if you're not paying attention to that, right, you're just looking at the next key level being like, well, hey, if we lose all those next key levels, we're going to be looking down here. And then what happens? You get the bounce, right? Let's see. Shout out to Crypto Sharknado said, we'll say she smells like beach balls. Actually, she smells like balloons. A little different smell than beach ball. You would think, though. You would think she smells like beach balls because she's the same material. But let's see. Never say Bitcoin is holding up well. Yeah. The second you say Bitcoin's holding up well, you see what happens there. She just spits in your face. Jay said we need to clip it. No, don't clip it. Don't clip it, please, for the love of God. Oh, God, I got to stop doing stuff publicly on live streams here. But, yeah, that is pretty much, for the most part, what I am looking at. Shout out to David Brumbelow said, Jason Casper, I can verify Mrs. Candles is 100% real because I saw her fully inflated. Yeah, shout out to David Brumbelow. What's going on, bro? Welcome in. Yes, 100% she is real, guys. She's not always deflated like that. She's real, and she's not made out of plastic. I know she has, like, very shiny skin, but she's not, she's 100% a real person, I promise. But, yeah, let's see here. Let's see. So, yeah, this is what we're looking at, guys. Higher time frame, lower time frame. This is how I'm handling stuff. So, yeah, I mean, money flow is goated, guys. Money flow very rarely lies. And the warning shots, I was talking about to the premium Discord earlier today about this, right? Warning shot number 1 was the daily money flow all the way back here. We talk about this on the live stream as well, right? Daily money flow crossing out here. This is letting us know that, hey, I mean, honestly, the real first warning sign was on that last retracement up, right? Once we got this bull div on the daily, right, or I guess it was a slight bull div, we have money flow trending out, right? This gave us that early warning sign of like, hey, let's be careful on this bounce to the upside, because even though it wasn't a lower high, I mean, it really kind of was, right? We wicked above it. We swept the highs. However, when you pull your fib from the high to the low here, I think this was the actual low. You can see golden pocket, 786. Where's the lower high likely to come in at? Right in that zone, right? Sweep the highs, get rejected down here, and then with that money flow coming out, so I love the money flow because it's also very directional, right? You could use the direction that it is going as a early warning sign of like what's going to come next. You could think to yourself, well, hey, money flow is coming out. If we get a lower high here, this might be the early warning sign of change in trend, right? To massive uptrend, to massive downtrend, right? And then once you get the crossover, that's kind of your second warning shot. And then eventually you get your 2-day rolling over on top of that daily, and you get the money flow crossover into the red here. And this is why, just like back here, when we rallied, we said, let's be careful. Potential lower highs, right? Potential trend change. And then daily money flow crosses into the red. We look for the continuation of the trend, lower lows, lower highs, lower lows, right? And then 2-day money flow starts crossing over into the red, but we have a bull div. That's great. You can look for the bounce, but in the context of lower highs and lower lows. So this is what we've been looking at. And money flow is still in the red here. So if we get a bull div and the money flow is still in the red, we can look for the bounce, right? We can look for a continued bounce, but we have to be careful until this money flow really starts coming back up. And just like the first warning sign of the downtrend was on the daily before it was on the 2-day, right? Daily money flow happened up here. 2-day money flow happened down here, right? Very similarly, the daily money flow crossing into the green will probably happen before the 2-day money flow crossover into the green, right? So if we start coming up, we start breaking out of that trend line, we see the money flow crossover into the green, first sign of like, hey guys, money flow starting to turn back to the upside. Could look for a continuation of the trend, and then hopefully that 2-day money flow squeaks up as well. But the question is it just going to be a massive macro lower high before more downside? But again, we have to wait for that to present itself before we can kind of give a accurate prediction of what we think is going to happen. But yeah, let's see, bada boom, bada bing. Shout out to Brock, said, I'm calling it. The next pump is the real pump. I hope so. Hopefully the pump is right here. Shout out to Crypto Billy, said lower lows, no money flow, short still in play. Let's go. Shout out to Crypto Billy. I would agree, brother. Good to see you in here. Let's see. Shout out to Native, said, would you buy here? Would you buy here or wait for another retracement? Satisfied stacker reckons around 72K BTC is a good level to load up. I mean, yeah, it really depends on your situation, right? For me personally, like I already bought my Bitcoin lower, right? So I'm not necessarily looking to buy the dip on Bitcoin. Personally, right? Doesn't mean that you can't look to buy the dip on Bitcoin. But yeah, I mean, listen, like we come on down to these highs, guys. Like this is still an area where we could potentially bounce, right? It's like a previous all-time high. So yeah, I mean, I would say like macro levels of resistance, level number one, macro level of resistance or support. I'm sorry. First macro level of support, obviously, was the big Fibonacci retracement we were looking at right here. Right? And you guys know, right? Like once we came down to this golden pocket, we tapped the golden pocket, got a bounce, and then on that next drop to the downside, we front ran that 786. That's why we were so focused on this level. We front ran the 786. Money flow was still coming out on the 2-day, which makes it look more like a lackluster retracement to the upside before rolling back over. And you also had the daily and the weekly naked point of control down there, right? So it's like, hey, we front ran the 786. If we push into these levels, we could hit the significant naked points of controls and the 786, and then maybe we do get a bigger retracement from here, right? We've now tapped the golden pocket. We lost the golden pocket. We've tapped the 786, right? So if we're going to bounce more, this would be the place to do it from, right? The only kind of opposite end of that coin is if we don't get the bounce here, we have to wait for the bigger retracement levels, which are simply sitting down where we just talked about, right? That's 72K. That's likely. I don't know. You said something stacker. They're probably getting that level from this golden pocket, $72,000, right? Excuse me. So if you lose this 786, we're just going to look at that bigger Fibonacci retracement. But this is still, right? Like this is swing low to swing high. This is a level that you could put a higher low in on, right? So that's why, me personally, I'm not ready to call a bear market right now, right? Because you can come down here, even slip this level slightly before coming back up. But yeah, like the zone that we're at right now would be kind of a zone personally for me, like a definitely important support. But with such a strong downtrend, right? It really depends. If you're dollar cost averaging, like me personally, like buying a little here and then getting another drop down to the golden pocket, maybe buy a little bit more. But overall, in my opinion, right? I don't know, we've already rallied a lot this cycle, right? So, like, is it the best time to buy? Maybe not. But is it the best time to buy in the continuation? If you're assuming the continuation of this uptrend will happen, right? You would be looking to buy the dip on significant Fibonacci retracements, which, number one is going to be the one that we just hit, right? And then number two would be this golden pocket down here. The reason I don't love the 786 down here is because once you lose that golden pocket, the 786 brings you like back into this consolidation, which I think would be overall bearish, right? So I would hope, right, if we do come down there, it's very short-lived, maybe like a little black swan-y type thing, and then send it back to the upside. But this would be the next big level. I would agree with, I want to say Satoshi Stacker, because that's one of the CandleMafia members. But whoever you said, I would agree. I would agree with that. Yeah, definitely like key support down here. That does not guarantee that if you buy here, it's going to go up, though, right? Because you could break down, things could get bearish very, very quickly. But that's kind of the danger that you're in, right? Like waiting, this late in the cycle to buy, right? It's just like a game you'd have to play. But other than that, like really the best time to buy, guys, is obviously in the bear markets, right? Weekly money flow in the red is always historically been the best time to buy Bitcoin. Weekly money flow crossover right here, buy the bottom. Enjoy the ride up. Money flow crossover into the green right here, enjoy that ride up, right? So in my opinion, right, if I were looking to load up a new bag, let's assume I did not do this, but let's assume I sold my entire Bitcoin bag up here. I've only sold a little bit up here. This was my first target for the bull market. So I am still holding a lot of my Bitcoin, just to be clear. But if we do get another weekly money flow crossover, that would be a little bit more indicative of a 4-year cycle traditional kind of bear market that we're used to with 75-ish% drop to the downside. Once that weekly money flows in the red, that's typically the best time to buy Bitcoin. This is not a bear market. I'm not saying that we're not going into a bear market, right? Like maybe we come up, lower high, and then we go into a massive bear market. But like this is not a bear market. This is not as good of a place to buy as it is like this is much different than this, right? This is the best time to buy. Weekly money flow crosses into the red. We have horrible sentiment, right? It's a traditional 4-year cycle bear market. That's where we look to buy. So for me personally, right, like if I were just getting into crypto, I'd probably sit on my hand. And knowing what I know now, I'd probably sit on my hands, let this thing do whatever, right? Maybe take some trades, some shorter-term trades to capitalize on more upside. But really the best time to buy, in my opinion, is like just bottom of the cycles, right? You're always going to be risking like think of it here, right? Like a lot of people would think like, oh, like Bitcoin just went through a massive bull cycle. Like, oh my God, like now we're pulled back. We're down 50%. That's crazy. Should I buy? You might buy and it comes up, right? But in the 4-year cycle perspective, right? Like, you didn't buy the top, but like you were buying in the top of that range, right? Or not at the bottom of that top range, if that makes sense, right? So, you know, could you have bought here and made money? Sure. Could you have bought here and got up a little bit? Sure. But you would have been better off just like waiting for the real capitulation, right? Waiting for people to really not care about crypto anymore and then buying when your weekly money flows in the red. So not really a black or white answer, but that's kind of how I would handle it. If you're looking to just like buy the dip and assuming that this trend is going to continue to the upside, you know, that would be the next big level in my opinion as well. Let's see. Shout out to Creighton C. Thank you for the super chat. I appreciate you, bro. He said, sorry, boss. Late understanding the weather. Just a quick question. Looking at the 30-minute, 8-hour pressed up into 3-drive bull div on the daily, 2-day bull div, 3-day bull div, possible right. Yes. Shout out to Creighton. Yeah. So you have the 8-hour, like the bullish things that I'm looking at right now locally. 8-hour green dot, 30-minute money flow, like looking across over. Like this looks pretty nice, right? Locally, right? And then we also have the 2-day bull div looking to form potentially down at that key level of support. And you also potentially, I don't know. I would like to see the div here, right? Which you're kind of getting, you kind of have this, right? Little daily bull div, right? So you have the 2-day, the daily, and then the 8-hour, 30-minute. So yes, that would be nice, right? That would be good and a good sign for a continuation to the upside. However, your hope there, if you're thinking this is the bottom, right, and you want to just, you know, yeet off into higher prices, right, all-time highs, 130, 120, 150,000 maybe, right? You're hoping that bull div, right, you need this money flow to come back up, right? So you do have the divs, right, and it's a little bit more clear on the 2-day. You definitely have that 2-day div looking to print, right? It's clear as day. Lower lows, higher lows. That's bullish in the context when money flow is coming out, right? So you can look for the retracement. Very same thing as back here. I would say this div that we have right now is much better than this local div that we had down here. But if this money, like we could look for that bounce up, right? But we need the money flow to come back into the green if we want that overall trend continuation to the upside, right? Until that happens, I would look at the bull divs as a sign for potential more upside, but in the context of potential lower highs and lower lows, or maybe even like a macro retracement for a lower high and a lower low. So shout out to Creighton. 100% you're looking at the right things. It's just important to realize the context of the money flow, right? And it's not that just because money flow is coming up, we can't get the continuation in a big way. We just need to see that change, right? So we just can't call that right now. We have to let price action develop and see what that money flow does over time. Let's see. Shout out to Breen says, dang, Frankie, you a G. Listen to the sauce this man is dropping. Shout out to Breen. I appreciate you, bro. Welcome to the Candle Mafia. Smash that like button if you like this free value that we spend on this channel every single weekday at 5:45 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. But yeah, let's go ahead. I'm going to jump into some of the altcoins. We'll keep an eye here on the 30-minute money flow. And we'll see. Like, this crosses into the green with that 8-hour green dot. I would say the continuation up is likely, but that is not me saying the bottom is in forever, right? Two different things. Let's see. Okay, so let's continue on. I want to take a look at some of the altcoins, guys. First off, Ethereum. We kind of already covered this with, we're at support, right? Like, am I chasing FOMO shorts here? Absolutely not, right? Why? We've come down to key levels of support on just about everything. Again, doesn't mean you can't continue down, but it's just not the place to FOMO short, in my own personal opinion. So, same thing, 8-hour green dot printing, 30-minute money flow, looking pretty clean, guys. Like, this is as clean as a 30-minute, 8-hour setup gets, right, when it comes to Market Cypher B. Shout out to CryptoFace. But again, right, the thought here is like, hey, let's hopefully get some kind of a rally back up. Maybe that 30-minute money flow crosses over. We continue up a little bit, flip that value area low to support, and maybe continue back up through this profile, like the most bullish case locally, right? You would just look at this as a typical volume profile. We came back down, dip below the low, flip the value area low, look to go to the POC and the value area high. But to be honest, right, if we just look at this from a larger time frame perspective, right, let's take a look at this, right? We know that not only was what we came down to the little volume profile that we had from down here, right? This little area of consolidation that we had, that's where those levels come from. But when we take a look at it from a higher time frame perspective and we look at the bear market range, let me hide some of this stuff. Bear with me here. Let me just hide this. Let's hide this, hide this, hide this, hide this. Boom. Oh, man, I just messed that up. All right. So Just want to clean this up so we could just see it from a volume profile perspective. I don't want to confuse everybody with all these levels. There is confluence to the level that we just came down to, which is nice. But from a full volume profile perspective, guys, what are we looking at here, right? From a 2-day perspective, money flow in the red. What are we anticipating there? Sure, you have a 2-day bull div there. That's, at least somewhat nice to see. Lower lows, higher lows, very similar to Bitcoin. But look at that 2-day money flow. Until that 2-day money flow or even the daily money flow comes back into the green, right, you would probably be looking at this. This is a very strong downtrend. I mean, this thing's just been high, low, lower, high, lower, low, lower, high, lower, low, lower, high, right? We're just continuing in this massive downtrend. And we knew, right, looking at this on the live streams, saying, hey, guys, if we break back down into this range, get stuck under the value area high, where are we looking next? The POC, right? What were those 2 major levels that we looked at? It was really in the context of this mini volume profile, sitting between 1538 and 1644. And here we are, right, sitting at 1576, right? And this isn't me. This isn't like magic, right? I mean, I guess it is me, right? But this is just based off our volume profiles, right? Now, local volume profile was the same thing as the larger volume profile. We deviated above, came back in, rejected the value area high, right to the value area low and beyond, right? So now if we take a look at this from the higher time frame perspective, it kind of stinks, right? Because we're now below the POC, and even if we do come back above it, right, that would be nice to see if we rally back above this POC, right? Maybe we can get a push up to some of these higher levels, but you can see this golden pocket 786, when pulled from the high to the low, is sitting 786 is perfectly confluent with your value area high, and then your golden pocket sits at about 1864, right? So really the key level to get above is still the same level that it was last time, right, before we got the drop, which is get out of this value area high, $2,000. Once you get out of the value area high, $2,000, you can look to flip the next key level, which is $2,100 at the macro value area low. Doorway to higher prices. Key, right? We have to get back up there. This is resistance until proven otherwise. What do you mean, Frankie? If we flip this to support, that would have been bullish. But what happens? It's resistance until proven otherwise. And not only did we reject the value area low here, but back to the Fibonacci retracements, what else do we have here, guys? And if you watch this live stream every single day, shout out to you, right? Because we looked at the local golden pocket value area low confluence. Hey, local fib on the value area low, 2 key levels of resistance, could be the lower high before getting back into the range, right? So same thing here, right? If we come back up, right, I would now just be looking at this larger bear market range because that's what we're in right now, right? Ethereum, if you do not want Ethereum to go lower, we must, hopefully we could close it way higher, but we must close a weekly candle. I want to see a weekly candle closure. Even daily candle closures up here would be nice. Above this 786. This 786, guys, is the 786 from the bear market lows of 2022 all the way up to the current highs. You need to hold that 786. You lose the 786, we're looking down Ethereum into the $1,300 range. And to be quite honest, at that point, right, if you're looking at this as a volume profile, even if you rally back up to the value area high and then lose the POC again, we saw this exact thing happen with a break back above the POC, rejection at the value area high, and a bigger move up. We saw that within the lower time frame range. We're below the POC, right? We even saw that there was 15-minute money flow coming up here with a 4-hour green dot. We looked for the rally, but we said, hey, be careful because that value area high is just above you, and you're still just within your range. You have to break above. 1941 is the local value area high. The bear market range, or the bigger value area high, is $2,000, right? Very, very similar level. So it is possible to get back above the POC, retest the value area high, and then lose the POC again for the full fill of the range, right? And it's the same thing here, right? We're above, or we're below the POC right now, but even if we rally and get a bigger move up, you might just retest some of these lower local resistance levels, right? And again, that big zone to get above, $1,856 to about $2,000. This is an area where if we're going to put in a higher low, even if we get like the 2-day bounce, right? Maybe we get a bigger 2-day retracement, right? Bullish divergence is confirmed, right? We get above here. Potential area to continue that downtrend for sure, right? So that's what I'm going to be looking at on Ethereum. Locally, though, that 8-hour, 30-minute looks like you could get a little continuation up. But I would just be careful based off the higher time frame context, right? And if we take a look at the daily here, right, how could we see this playing out over time? I mean, potentially, excuse me, if we wind up, regardless of what happens here, if we wind up coming down to the value area low, we have some support down here, but at that point, right, I'd just be waiting for the full fill of the value area, and then if we deviate down below, we can look for those bullish confirmations, and then maybe get back into the range, and then maybe that's where we see the bigger move up. But to be quite honest here, This is crazy, right? And as far as the higher time frame money flow, again, short-term relief might be nice to see, but don't get caught off guard just like the last 2-day bull div on Bitcoin. Hopefully this bull div is different. But just like the last 2-day bull divs that we saw, we got the retracements. You see the green dots printing here, the bullish divergence, lower lows, higher lows, right? You get the little retracement, and then you come back down, right? This, again, is a stronger bull div, but as long as that money flow stays in the red, got to keep an eye out for lower highs and lower lows. And then that might be what we wind up seeing play out. And that would be absolutely brutal, guys. Absolutely brutal. I do not want that to happen, just to be clear. Yeah, bear market low price is insane. Yeah, shout out to Nirvana. 100%. Let's see. Shout out to Men's. Shout out to you, bro. Says, where do you see potential bottom for Bitcoin if the bear market is here? I mean, listen, really all we could do there is just kind of go off what we usually go off of, which is like just kind of like taking averages of previous drops and kind of expecting something in that ballpark. So, last cycle, obviously, we had, what was it, like 77%. So, yeah, like I'd say like, anywhere between like 75 and 77%, something like that, which from the high here... Yeah, I don't know if we're going to go that low. I mean, 77% would bring you back down to 24K. I mean, if we came down from where we are right now, I mean, maybe like 70. It depends, right? Because like as the asset matures and we get a higher market cap, the drops are going to be less and less intense, right? Meaning the percentage drop down will be a little bit less. But yeah, I mean, 30K is going to be a big, big level. The reason I say that is because it is obviously going to be our... right, macro range, not that one. Where is it? Macro volume profile, right? 30K is going to be big, right? Because that's our macro value area low, right? So if we did wind up getting a huge drop, right, like this would be super key support, but that would only really be 50% down, right? We've seen that in bull markets, right? This was, in 2021, this was a 55% drop to the downside, right? But full bear market, right? Like 30K would be huge to look at, right? That's your value area low. And you have a lot of really, really big levels to look at. And again, we can't always expect the 4-year cycle to continue to just completely play out as beautifully as it has, right? I'm kind of shocked it's played out as beautifully as it has this far, right? It's like crazy how predictable the 4-year cycle has been up until this point. But yeah, I would be, yeah, kind of hard to say. But, I mean, if you got, like, let's just assume you get, like, a little less, right? Because this one was 77%. What was it in 2018? So 77 from 83, right? So, yeah, maybe you don't go down that deep. But, yeah, that's, like, really in the bear market, we really start tanking. That's really the this is really like the volume profile I'm looking at, right? And then we'll have many volume profiles to look at on the way down, right? We'll have this whole range to look at. I don't think that's where the bottom would come in, but, maybe, we'll have to assess the situation when we get there. But this is the volume profile I would be looking at personally, right? And again, just kind of measuring that out. If you were to get like a, 20K would be absolutely crazy. So like maybe if it's a little less, like I would look to maybe come play around with that value area low around 30K, slip it a little bit, get back in, and then continue. But we'll see. There's a lot that could happen up until then, right? It also depends on how high we go, right? If we continue up and we make a new all-time high, then those levels will obviously change. But hopefully that helps you out. Let's see. Yeah, pull a fib from the bear market low to the high. It's another thing you can do, right? Historically, right? If we look here, from the 2018 low all the way to the 2021 high, 786 support, right? It's not always going to play out perfectly. And then this is kind of what, you can see this, like even that, like you slip the 786 barely, and then you continue up. You retest it on the C19 dump. And then, yeah, same thing here, right? From the low to the high, right? You come back down, you retest the all-time high, 786, slip it slightly, you get back above, and you send it, right? So at this point, that would be coming in. Let me zoom in a bit. Let's come over to a weekly time frame. So yeah, from the low to the high, that would bring you 35K. That does line up somewhat, right, with your value area low, right? So if you do a similar thing, come down, retest the 786, slip it slightly, right? You're below your value area low here, reclaim, and then send it back up, potentially, That would look kind of clean, to be honest. So between 35 to about 30K, that would be a good place to look, in my opinion, right? But again, things can change, so it really depends. But yeah, right now, if we were to drop, that's what I'd be looking at. And that's why I say, right, like when we look at Ethereum, that's why I say this is like such a key level that we're at right now, right? Like if we lose that 786, guys, it could get bad for Ethereum from the low to the current high, right? That 786 is major, right? If you want to have any chance of, like, if you lose this, ugh, good Lord. Oh my God. Brutal. But yeah, there we go. Imagine 30K BTC and then imagine ETH, Solana, and XRP. Oh my God. So XRP, we're going to take a look at as well. But, you know, Ethereum sitting at those lower levels that we looked at last week, guys. Not just Solana, right? Also, I mean, not just Bitcoin, but also Solana. Where was our level on Solana, guys? Saying, hey, well, let me get rid of this, right? Obviously, we have this anchored VWAP. We couldn't reclaim it, right? Once you came into that value area low, you wanted to get above the value area low, but also flip the anchored VWAP to support. We rejected it, and we got the bigger drop to the downside. We actually had some levels in here that we were looking to potentially hold, and I don't know if I have them on the chart. No, I believe it was this daily, right? So we had this daily level, boom, right? And then we also had the 786, right? So this was our must-hold level, right? I actually had this drawn. I deleted it earlier because we were looking at it in the premium Discord. But we have the daily and we have the 786. We must reclaim this level, right? That was the level on Friday we were looking at. Like, hey, you must reclaim this level. If you cannot reclaim this level and you lose it, you're definitely going to be looking down towards the POC value area high between $108,000 and $101,000. And this is a level and a situation that we've been looking at ever since we were bing-bonging around all the way up here, right? Hey, guys, we can't get back above this. We lose this golden pocket, you're going to look to go to the 786. If we can't hold that, the next big drop is going to be down to the value area low POC, right? Between 108 and 101,000. 101. I keep saying that. 101 and $108, right? And what happens? We get into the value area, down to the POC, reclaim it, and now we're sitting at the value area high. Now, very similar to everything else, Solana, like I said, for the most part, guys, I'm sitting on my hands, letting things, as far as like my personal trades go, I'm sitting on my hands, waiting for things to kind of shake out, and just waiting for like a better situation to look for a trade. But, you know, if we look at this, right, very similar to Ethereum and Bitcoin, 8-hour green dot, 30-minute money flow crossover into the green, potentially coming in here, right? So if we see that money flow cross into the green, could be looked at as a pretty nice continuation to the upside. But again, overall, right, even if it is a bigger retracement, we have to be very careful with this money flow. But same thing, right? Like I would say on the altcoins, these 2-day bullish divergences is what you want to see for at least some kind of relief, right? Doesn't mean... Like, I know a 2-day bullish divergence is a pretty high time frame bull div, but again, like, it has to cooperate with money flow. So as we get that bounce, if we do, we want to see that 2-day money flow come up as well, if this is going to be the low before finally continuing the bull run. If not, and until then, we have to anticipate lower highs and lower lows. And right now on Solana, right, the key levels above, in my opinion, break out of this value area high, absolutely key. If we continue up, I would be looking at our golden pocket 786, sitting right here. Value area low 786 confluence. That would be the second level, right? And then you have your golden pocket 786 value area low, sitting between 120.60 and 127.49. Anchored VWAP, which I don't even know. I wouldn't really consider this the anchored. It is interesting, though. This is coming in as resistance. So you do have some confluence there. Let's pull it from the high here. Yeah, and even from this high, right? Confluence. So I'll be careful there. And then once you reclaim that value area low, hey, maybe you're going to get a bigger continuation up through the profile. But until then, we got to be very, very careful here. But nice to see the TA play out at least, right? You get a little bit of the TA to play out. You come down to your targets, even though they're not the targets that anybody wanted to see. And I always feel crazy talking about these levels, guys, but I never, ever, not one time have I ever regretted talking about them, because more often than not, the only time I really talk about these levels is if I think there's a possibility of coming down to them. And almost every single time, right? I've never regretted not bringing up these levels, right? Even though it's not the popular thing to say on YouTube. Nobody wants to hear Solana. No way Solana's going to $100. I wish. I'm on that. We're on the same team. I don't want things to go down either. Let's see. James said, what happened to that bearish price a while ago? Shout out to James. Not 100% sure exactly what that means. Let's see. Boom. Can we take a look at Doge? Yeah, we could try to take a look at try to take a look at Doge. And yeah, real quick before we take a look at Doge, we took a look at Ethereum, we took a look at Solana, we took a look at Bitcoin. I do want to take a quick look at XRP, right? XRP. What do we have on XRP, guys? We have that low volume gap sitting below us. I'll even pull up the VPVR so we can visualize this. We know if we lose the lows, we are probably going to get a fast drop to the downside. Why? Because of our low volume gap. We have all of our volume up here, right? High volume node. Price likes to stick to those high volume nodes. Once you get rejected out of those high volume nodes, especially if you have a low volume node or a low volume gap below you, this is very likely to give you that quick drop to the downside. And we always talk about this. Fast rip up oftentimes leads to a fast move down. And if we pull this up, we even marked this gap out with this white box, right? Letting us know, hey, that's the level that we can't break. And I'll even hide this daily real quick, right? We cannot lose it. Once we lose this level, we're probably going to get a fast drop to the downside. And regardless of what the news is, regardless of what the sentiment is, we're going to know that that drop happened because of the low volume gap, right? And, you know, if you've been watching the streams and you've been looking at this with us, right? Like, literally, you bounce, you break in, and fast drop down. Now, obviously, we did not fill this all the way to the low here. $1.50 is still a huge key level on XRP. If we can't recover from here, right? If we're going to put in lower highs and continue down, still $1.50 is going to be that next big level at the golden pocket / value area high, sitting closer to $1.33. But that golden pocket comes in at about $1.50, right? That's pretty much the end of the low volume gap as well. So we didn't fill it in full. We actually caught a little support over here on these technical highs, right? You can see right hither, right? You have that high. You got the little bounce there. And we even had like levels of support. I believe it's here and here. Nope, here and here, right? So we had a little level of support here, little high volume node, right? Nothing really significant. And then we had another level here, not really that significant. But you can see we just flew right through that low volume gap. Super, super, super nice to see it just play out technically like that. And yeah, if you're not looking at volume profiles, guys, if you're not looking for those low volume gaps, good, for the love of God. I don't know what you are looking at, because that's like, in my opinion, like, the only way to predict, like, everyone, like, oh my God, how could you have known that was going to be so bearish? I didn't really, right? I just knew that, you know, once I break down into this low volume gap, I'm probably going to get an aggressive move down, right? And whatever the news is, whatever, you know, whatever everything else looks like is just whatever, right? The chart told me if we lose this level, we will get the fast drop down. It's pretty crazy. If you've been here watching this this box here on the live stream, pretty magical to see that happen, right? Even though it didn't fill all the way down to the low. But yeah, so there you go. Other than that, right, like, just looks very similar, right? 8-hour green dot, right? 30-minute money flow looking across into the green, right? This looks good for a continuation up, at least in some form or fashion, in my opinion. But again, you got to be careful here, right? So let me actually update this a little bit. This is an old fib. Whoops. Just get rid of this. Get rid of this. Get rid of this. Get rid of this. So yeah, I mean, even if we hide this low volume gap, right? Pretty big slip to the downside, right? If we do continue up, value area low at 215 is your key level of resistance. If you are able to reclaim that, right, you can maybe look for the bigger continuation up. If we look at our local Fibonacci retracements, I would actually see it to here. Yeah, we already got that golden pocket retracement, so I would look at the 786 value area low confluence, right? So I'll even take this, you know, I'll actually leave the golden pocket on there. But yeah, if you continue up, right, 30-minute money flow crosses into the green, flip the golden pocket. That's your next key level of resistance. If you get above it, then you might be able to just break back into and get accepted into your upper range. Simply put. So there you go. And then real quick, I do want to look at, Tony D asked me to take a look at Cardano before, and I pulled it up. And hilariously enough, where's it at? Cardano. We were looking, right, on the live stream here. If we take a look at Cardano, there it is, right? 45-minute money flow crossover into the red, right? We were looking, we had our local Fibonacci retracement up here, right? And we were looking for a potential, we actually got another move down, but you were below the value area high, and we had what? We had the 12-hour red dot with our 45-minute money flow crossover into the red. We kind of bing-bonged around here a little bit, but what happens, right? You break into your value area, bearish retest on the value area high, which was also confluent with this golden pocket 786, and then you wind up getting the continuation down. Where does the big drop begin? Right on the 45-minute money flow crossover into the red. We marked it out. I left it there on purpose. So that's what starts the bigger move down, right? Now, we didn't hit the value area low. We got very, very close. But at this point, right, I'll just get rid of this, all old news now. right? But just showing how powerful the volume profiles can really be, right? Like, that's your roadmap for price, right? If we can't get out of here, where is the next likely place for price to go? Probably the POC. Lose the POC, probably going down to the low, right? We just front ran that low at about 50 cents very, very briefly. So, very similar to everything else. 30-minute money flow coming into the green here, looking for a crossover with the 8-hour green dot. And I would even argue like your 16-hour green dot's looking to print as well, 12-hour green dot looking to print potentially soon. So those could be kind of following up on that 8-hour, 30-minute setup. But if it does continue, right, and that 30-minute money flow crosses into the green, just like we look for the 45-minute money flow crossover, 30 minutes pretty close, very similar, right? Big trend down. If we get that 8-hour green dot, 30-minute money flow crosses into the green, we may be able to continue our trend to the upside, which the next key level, which would be obviously the POC sitting at 60 cents, flip that, look for a bigger move into the value area high at 66 cents. Now, we could also look at our retracement levels here as well, which I would assume, let's pull it from this like kind of impulse to the downside. So your golden pocket POC sits right here. Bada boom. And then see it's anchored VWAP from up here as well. Yeah. Could watch that. Anchored VWAP coming into that fib retracement as well. But golden pocket POC confluence, get above that golden pocket, look for the 786. Flip the 786 / anchored VWAP. Value area high is just going to be that next expected level, right? So your hope here for a move up on Cardano, right? And again, me personally, like I'm not betting on this, right? Like I'm not just getting in based off the 30-minute money flow crossover and the big move up, right? Like I'm not trading this. This is just me trying to predict what is likely to happen, right? For me personally, for a long position, I would need some kind of a retracement down or take the lows into the value area low, right? So I wouldn't really be interested in big long positions unless I was like taking little scalps in longs until we come lower, either into a retracement for a higher low or into the value area low. Those would be where I'd be interested in longs. And then for a short, right, maybe we come up in here. I don't really love shorting the POC, but if I could find a little local entry confirmation, maybe take a little scalp there. But for the most part, bigger short, right, would be up towards the value area high. But yeah, those are key resistance. 61.616 to 60 cents, right? And then 786 sits at about 63 cents, and then the value area high up here at 67 cents. So there we go. Let's see. Shout out to Sauce said, so to use the volume profile, you pull it like a fib retracement. Shout out to Sauce. Not quite. It's the way you would pull your volume profiles. I have videos on the channel. This whole YouTube channel is a free trading course for the most part. If you go through the beginner series, it'll show you how I use the volume profiles. I use the volume profiles to find balanced areas in the market, right? And this isn't all I use, obviously, right? But I just like to find where we've had previous fair value, right? Because when you have fair value in the market, when price leaves that fair value, or price will eventually leave that fair value, right? But then eventually, then it'll create new value, right? Or respect previous value, which it did. But once you wind up losing this area of balance up here, which obviously, like I said, you did create a nice little value area up here, right? So the idea here is like, hey, we have balance here. Where's your balanced areas in the market? One here, and you have one here, right? Once you impulse, right, the market ranges 80% of the time, right? The other times it is just impulsing or trending, right? But once we lose this, when you're inside of a value area, this is what we like to range trade. Longs at the lows, shorts at the highs. Longs at the lows, shorts at the highs. And based off the laws of the volume profile, once you get back into your range, hold the value area low, very high probability of going to the POC value area high. Once you get rejected, very high chance of going to the POC and the value area low, so on and so forth. But eventually, it's going to break down, right? And there's ways that you could try to predict that. In this case, right, just looking at the daily time frame, money flow, trending out on the daily is letting you know, hey, you're coming in here, you're putting in lower highs on a Fibonacci retracement, and money flow is trending out, anticipating a potential downtrend to start. But the idea here is once price impulses or gets imbalanced out of that range, it is more often than not going to seek out previous balance. And you can see here, it was respected perfectly. I know it's a big wick, but you can see what happened here. If I go back, I don't know how far back I'm going to be able to go here, just to kind of show you that price will come back and respect I don't know if I might have went too far. But at the end of the day, right, like you are going to expect price to come back down, right? Once you get back below that value area high, there's going to be a very high probability. Obviously, on a high time frame like the 12-hour, it looks like a big wick. But more often than not, you will get under that value area high. POC is the next stop. Lose that POC, go back down to the low. And you can just see how perfectly that does wind up playing out, right? Price gets imbalanced, and it's going to seek out the previous area balance, which is, again, coming from over here, right? And even on the way back up, what happens? You get up in here, you start to reject these respect these volume profile levels, and then you get on out of there, right? But you can see this POC acted as resistance, and even the value area high started acting as resistance as well. And it's never going to be perfect, right? Depending on the ranges you're looking at, you might get different levels, but that's how I use them. And you can even see on this last approach, where'd you get the rejection from? You got the rejection from the value area high, right? You come back in, PLC value area high, rejection, back in, you deviate the low, you go back in, and you lose it, and you come back down into this lower value, right? So yeah, that's kind of how I view things. That's how I use the volume profiles. But it's going to change. Like, you can technically pull these from anywhere, right? Because it's volume-based levels. I like to mark out the areas of balance because that's just how I trade personally. But if you just pull a random profile, right, it's just analyzing the volume. So the levels are probably going to be respected regardless. So hopefully that helps you out. Let's see. Let's see. Hey, shout out to Yamto said, for newbies, just Google Fear and Greed Index, and when it shows below 20, just buy, and most of the coins will be 20% low. Buy and sell within a week. You could gain 20% ROI safely. Shout out to Yamto. Yeah, super, yeah. Buy the fear, sell the greed, baby. Buy the fear, sell the greed. Shout out to Hugo, said so much sauce. It's saucy. Shout out to Hugo, bro. I appreciate you for being here. Beach ball material, but smells like rubber, eh? Shout out to Ronimus. Is that what I said? Dang. Let's see. Let's take a look. I put 500 a month every month into Doge. Shout out to CAF. Let's take a look at Doge real quick. Let's take a quick look at everybody's favorite dog. Actually going to pull it out over here. Okay, so let's take a look. I have not looked at Dogecoin today, so give me a second to get my bearings here. Okay, so daily has been lost and potentially flipped to resistance. I'm going to get this because it's already been tapped. It'd be nice to reclaim this, honestly. Yeah, that daily at about 15.5 cents almost would be a nice level to flip to support for potential continuation up. But let me get my bearings here a little bit. Let me just get this fib. Yeah, so golden pocket, right? Like, this is from this low all the way to the high. We got the bounce off of it, and then now we're kind of playing around with it, right? So you would hope, right? More often than not. I like this a little better, right? You tap into the golden pocket, you start reclaiming value area low, and you start moving up. This looked better than, in my opinion, this does. Doesn't mean you can't bounce from here, right? But I don't like that we've already bounced off this golden pocket, and now we came down for a second test, and we are technically living below it. So right now, you really want to flip this daily to support and get above this golden pocket, to be honest. I mean, you just really got to get above this door at higher prices, value area low, right? Because, like, you could come back above this golden pocket and then just reject the value area low. So I'm going to get rid of this golden pocket for now. Because does that make sense? This was much more important, in my opinion, down here when it was naked, right? We had not touched it yet. We touched it, we got a bounce, and it didn't live long, right? Get stuck below the POC. The golden pocket. You could potentially look for a continuation down to that 786 at about 11 cents, right? That would just, from a binary perspective, that would be the next key level to look at, right? If you don't bounce off the golden pocket and you lose it, you're going to be looking down towards that 786. That would be the next area I'd look at. 11 cents, right? Almost 12 cents, about 11 cents. 11 and a half, call it. But I'm going to take this off the chart because this is already tapped, right? So hopefully we reclaim that value area low. It doesn't mean that you can't, flip this daily, get above the value area low, and then push it higher, right? But from my experience, right, more often than not, once you reject that golden pocket, 786 is typically next. So definitely pay attention to that level here, 11.11780. Lose that 786. We're just simply going to be looking back down towards the bear market range. I mean, brutal. That would be brutal, right? Like, obviously Ethereum's already kind of sitting down there, but What you could look at this like, right? If you do take a, let me just check some naked points of controls here really quickly. Pull up the MPOCs real quick. Let's pull up the monthly. I just want to see if we have any. Did that change? Is this a monthly naked point of control? I think this is a naked. Yeah. So you did have that monthly naked point of control down here that you tapped. So it's not like you didn't come down to any kind of key level of support, right? So monthly, MPOC. Let's check the weekly. Let's check the weekly. There we go. And let me just double check that monthly real quick. That was a little bit weird. Okay, yeah, so you did have the monthly naked point of control, which is nice, right? Because now this two-day bull div is not happening at nothing, right? It's happening at a major key level of support. Weekly MPOC sits, let me just label this. Monthly MPOC, let's see, weekly MPOC, monthly, weekly. And then this 786 is confluent with that weekly. Bada boom. Okay, let's check the dailies as well. Just make sure that worked. Okay. Okay. So I'll take those for now. So yeah, we put in a potential. So we look at this from a 2-day perspective, right? Just like on Ethereum, you do have lower lows on your price action, higher lows on your momentum waves, right? On the 2-day, that's a 2-day bull div, right? It's not printing yet, right? The VWAP's not even curving up towards the 0 line yet. So we need that to print. If not, maybe this momentum wave just crashes through, right? And we don't get it. But this could be the early start of a 2-day bullish divergence into a key level of support, which is very important, right? Into a key level of support. Lower lows, higher lows, that green dot prints could look for a bigger move up, right? But a 2-day bull div, I would probably classify this a little bit better than what's on Ethereum because this is coming into a major key level. Not that Ethereum didn't come into key levels, but it wasn't a monthly naked point of control. This is a big level. So until money flow comes back into the green, just like everything else, we have to be careful of the lackluster bounces to the upside for lower highs and lower lows, right? But as of right now, hopefully the 8-hour green dot with the 30-minute money flow can give us that continuation up, right? Low time frame turbulence is likely. But, you know, biggest level right now, 0.167, right? 16 cents, 17 cents. Get above that value area low. That's a big level to get above. But for me personally, right, I would, I don't hate that 2-day bull div, but, we'll see what happens. I would be very careful with these money flow, right? 3-day money flow is just now crossing over into the red, right? Just starting to cross over into the red. So that means that even if you get the div, you could look for lower highs and lower lows for an overall macro lower high for continuation down, which again, next key level to the downside. Let's say we just don't get any kind of bounce here and we just nuke through this tonight, which I wouldn't necessarily expect. But if we do get it, right, weekly naked point of control at 0.12784, 0.12784, all the way down to the 786 at 0.11786. Maybe there's something magical about that level, right on the 786. So yeah, that would be the next key level to the downside, but hopefully we can hold this 2-day bull div and at least get some kind of a rally to come in. But if not, that's the next key level to look at. You can't hold that 786. Yikes, that's where we're looking to potentially come back down towards this range. But we'll cross this bridge when we get there. Right now, we'll see if that, we'll see if these local confirmations can bring us back up. But again, me personally, I'm not betting on this, right? 2-day bull div's not even there yet. Daily bull div could be printing somewhat, sooner than the 2-day, obviously. So we'll see. We'll see if we can get a little bit of a recovery here. But just overall, right, I wouldn't say until money flow comes up, I'm not necessarily looking for massive new all-time highs. Definitely in a downtrend. Definitely have 3-day money flow just starting to cross over into the red. Right? So green dots print, upside could be likely, but money flow is overall going to master the trend continuation. So there you go. But those are the key levels I would look for on Dogecoin. And to be honest, let me just see something here. Actually, let me keep that up. Yeah, you could also look at this as well. This local range. Whoops. This local range from this little consolidation here, you guys can see. Let me just get rid of this fib, get rid of this fib, get rid of this, get rid of this. So yeah, locally, get above this daily POC. 1826 is that local value area high. That would be a local level I'd watch. So if we do get a local continuation up off that 8-hour green dot, 30-minute money flow crossover into the green, could look to come back up here towards the value area high. But again, we'll see if that 2-day bull div prints on that monthly naked point of control. So I would not be surprised on a lot of this stuff to see some kind of relief unless Asia just wakes up and dumps us. That's why I give you guys the levels of the downside as well. And, the way I'm personally handling it is it just kind of sitting in my hands, right? Sometimes the best trade is no trade. All right, let's see. Yamto, shout out to Yamto, said analysis is great, bro. You're a Chad. Yo, shout out to Yamto. It's like getting called a Chad is almost sounds like an insult. But I know what you mean. Unless you're insulting. But shout out to Yamto. I appreciate you, bro. This type of analysis comes with years of experience. Shout out to Yamto. I appreciate you, bro. And you're not wrong. You're not wrong. I've been staring at these charts, tried to do a calculation on how many hours I've spent on the charts. It's very hard to do. I would assume at least 10,000 hours, probably more. But when I started adding it up, guys, it didn't add up as fast as I thought. I'm like, okay, well, at this part of my life, I was probably doing about 4 hours a night while I had a full-time job or I was trying to do other stuff, and I add that up. 10,000 hours is a lot of hours, a lot more than I would have thought. And that's even including, after doing this full-time, all the time I spent on the charts, 5 days a week, 2 hours a day, just on the live stream. That's not counting the full day I spend on the charts. Even adding all that over 3 years does not add up to what you think it would. It's pretty crazy. But shout out to Yanto. I appreciate you so much, bro. Let's see. You're the best teacher. Thanks, Frankie. Much appreciated. Shout out to Emiliano. Shout out to you, man. I appreciate you so much. I'm happy to know that this helps you guys, right? Like, and even if you're here just to get the key levels, I know very often these key levels do end up getting tapped. Just like the levels up. No, we didn't tap the key level on XRP, but we fell through the low volume gap. Solana sitting at the exact levels that we looked at. Ethereum sitting at the exact levels that we looked at. And Bitcoin getting the bounce from the exact levels that we looked at. And I don't say that to brag. Ever in a million years, never to brag, right? It's just to show you that the analysis, it does, and shout out to Yamto, it does take time to learn. But once you get to the level where you can understand the charts like this is where you start to build out confluence and trading plans and where you actually have confidence to pull the trigger on some trades. Now, like I said, there are times where you want to sit out of the market, right? And it doesn't mean that if you're not sitting out of the market, you're wrong. But for me personally, right, like especially on Bitcoin, let's come back over to Bitcoin, do a little check-in here, right? For Bitcoin, like me personally, right, this is just me, right? Like you could maybe, you could be looking at the 1 minute, right? And I was talking to Tony D about this earlier, right? Like people always ask me, Frankie, bearish or bullish? This is such a loaded question, right? Because it really depends on what you're looking for, right? Because like people say, Frank, are you bearish or bullish, right? And recently, ever since we got the daily money flow crossover into the red here, I've been pretty bearish, right? Looking for a potential break of these lows, fast liquidation wick down here, right? Looking for lower highs and lower lows to come in based off money flow. And then the 2-day money flow comes down, right? We're looking for lower highs, lower lows, right? But overall, I'm not necessarily saying it's a bear market, right? Because we know that we can come down here to these highs and still hold a higher low, right? So it's like, are you bullish or bearish? I know a lot of people just want to know, like, is it the bear market or bull market, right? It's like, it's never going to be that much of a yes or no answer, right? Especially for me as like a level-to-level trader. And I'm not in a situation where I have to like freak out right now because when I buy my spot bags, I really do wait for the bear markets. So I'm not really in a situation here, right? My entry price on Bitcoin is between $21,000 and $22,000, right? About. So this pullback here, sure, it's brutal, right? But like my bag is still massively in profit, right? And that's what it's always going to be for me personally, just based off the charts, right? Like I'm bearish here, right? We anticipate these downtrends to start on money flow crosses over into the. If you take anything away from this live stream, guys, take money flow being the indication of the overall trend. It's very simple. Money flow crossover into the red. We anticipate some kind of a start of a downtrend. Will you see that fake out sometimes? Absolutely. We saw that fake out right here. We actually spotted this fake out. But you can't always spot them. Sometimes they just hit you by surprise, right? A lot of what had to do with me knowing this was going to be a fake out or thinking this was going to be a fake out was just the fact of where we were in the cycle. Very unlikely that we were, just going to get like a massive another downtrend, in my personal opinion. There were a lot of things that we were looking at to see the continuation up. I actually longed down here at 40K and held it all the way up to 74K. And then it got closed by BingX because they KYC'd, and I didn't know. Unbelievable. We actually hit them up and asked them what happened, and they literally said they forcefully closed the trade. But it's okay, right? Either way. So, I could be bearish, right? Because the downtrend right now is bearish, right? But if you come up to a monthly time frame, it's like, well, hey, we could still put in a higher low and a higher high here, right? So technically bearish until proven otherwise, right? And I think there is a common misconception that TA is going to be able to show you exactly where price is going to go. There is never going to be a part of your journey where you're sitting on the chart and you're like, you might feel really confident. You'd be like, I really like these bull divs. I like this money flow. I like this bullish C, whatever you're looking at, right? And you can feel really confident about a move, but there's never a time where it's just like you're sitting on a chart and you're like, okay, boom, there you go, winning trade. Okay, boom, winning trade. It's always going to be, yeah, but then the 4 hour kind of looks like this, but the daily's doing it's always going to be that back and forth. That's why it's called analysis, not signal, right? So yeah, like am I bearish or bullish, right? I'm obviously bearish based off market structure here, right? But overall, cycle-wise, I would say I'm still bullish, right? Still potential higher highs to come. But that can change, but we have to wait for price action to develop a little more to make that decision. So there you go. All right, let's see. Shout out to Perry Gaming, said, can we take a look at XRP? We actually did just take a look at XRP. If you scrub back just a little bit, you will see it in all of its glory. Let's see. Shout out to Crypto Max. He said, sentiment is the same at the same time period. We ripped before, now topped out after, I'm not going to say the word. We ripped to retest the high. Maybe this happens again this cycle. Feels like the same, I swear. We ripped before, topped out. Shout out to Crypto Maxi. It's hard for me to like cherry pick exactly what you mean there. But yeah, I mean, listen, guys, this market is crazy. We have seen 55% corrections before seeing new numerical all-time highs. I do believe this was the real all-time high. This is where sentiment peaked, all that good stuff, right? And then we just all on that second high, all we saw were bearish divergence. We saw momentum bear divs. We saw momentum bear divs. We saw social sentiment bear divs. We saw a lot of euphoria here, much less interest up here. And we had a liquidity sweep and bearish divergences on the weekly and the monthly and all that stuff, right? But I do think this was really the peak of the market and then a liquidity sweep to then send it back down to lower prices. But either way, right, a lot of people were probably screaming, bear market, bear market, bear market, right? Now, were they right? I personally agree with them. This would have been the bear market for me, right? But you still rip up to sweep liquidity again, right? And this is why it's very hard to just say like, oh my God, it's the bear market, right? Like I need some kind of like a bigger retest, right? Or retracement, right? If we got a bigger retracement, let's say, right? You pull from your high, from your high to your low here. Golden Pocket still sitting at around, a little lower now because we made a new low, but about $97,000 to $96,000. If we got some kind of huge retracement up into this zone, we get really bearish confirmations, and your high time frame money flow, such as your weekly, is coming into the red. Might be a situation where you put in a lower high and then see the bear market come in, right? It's not just like, oh my God, this is the bear market, right? Like I don't want to cause panic for the mafia at a low. Right? Now, could this go lower? Sure. But if I just say, oh my God, that's it, we got a big dump bear market, right? Like everyone is going to be looking to like sell their bag at the low. Not that you should ever listen to a crazy YouTuber, right? Even if it's me. But, at the end of the day, it's like me personally, right? Like if we get a bigger retracement, I'd rather sell my bag on a little bit of more of a retracement. But again, I understand that I'm personally not in the same situation because I did buy much lower, right? But, so yeah, take that for what it's worth. This weekly money flow, though, is something to really watch. Hopefully this next green dot on the weekly sends this money flow back up into the green. And, just like, like I said, Bitcoin has never gone through something like a 2008 financial crisis, a real recession other than C19. And, maybe we see some kind of like emergency rate cuts, right? Because like what happened last time, guys? Oh my God, it's going to zero. And this was very real. I say this every time we talk about C19. This was very real, guys. Like, all this stuff was really happening. Like, this wasn't just some, like, fake news, right? I know it's very controversial. But, like, this was a real thing that was happening. People were locked in their houses. People were getting sick. Like, this was a very real thing. And a lot of people probably sold the bottom here, right? Very scary. And I don't even blame those people. This is, like, a life or death situation, it feels like, right? But what happens, right? We need those rate cuts, right? And whenever that happens, I do think that's the next time we're going to see the big move up on Bitcoin. Whether it happens at these lows or we come lower first is another thing to come. That's why we're taking it level to level until we have more clarity on what is likely to come next, right? There's a lot of stuff going on. This is probably the most difficult cycle I've personally ever been through, and I've been through, got in like right here, right? 2016, 2017, right? So I was in this cycle. This bear market, this euphoria, this bear market, this fear. Crypto's dead. I bought down here. I felt like a moron buying down here, right? When you buy the top or when you buy the bottom, you feel like an idiot. When you sell the top, you feel like an idiot, right? It's only in hindsight that you look like a genius, right? But that's why emotions are so important, right? Like you get down here, this is where you want to buy, right? But it's very hard to buy when you have all the bearish sentiment, right? And you think it's going to go lower. You're like, oh my God, I don't want to buy the top, right? And that's why you dollar cost average in. But, for me personally, I've been through all these cycles, and this is probably the toughest one, right? As far as like, I don't know. I would argue this is pretty brutal too, right? Like just getting that crazy, for the most part, like a lot of people kind of like woke up and checked their portfolios, and it was like, for a lot of people, probably too late to sell, which might have been the luckiest thing ever for them. Because if you didn't sell down here, you were very happy with yourself. But this is definitely a difficult cycle, guys. And it's just what we have to deal with, right? Like there's no way to get around it. There's no way to fix it. It's just we're in a weird, wonky situation. And that's when we trade it level to level. And as traders, as day traders, scalpers, swing traders, whatever you'd like to do, trading it level to level, I have no emotion, right? Like my longer term outlook is, hey, if I'm willing to come down here and potentially get another bounce to the upside, I'm chilling on my spot bags, even though my alts are absolutely wrecked, obviously. But even though I got really good entry, I got good entries on a lot of my alts, and I'm still down on a lot of them. But until then, right, until we get like more clarity on the high time frames, right, we're just going to play it level to level. And we could catch these nice moves to the upside, to the downside, trade the ranges sideways. It doesn't matter which way price goes. We can make money because we understand how to read the charts. We don't need it to go up. We don't need it to go down. We don't need to call the exact top. We don't need to call the exact bottom, although sometimes it does happen. All we need are candles to go up or down. We just need the volatility, right? The only thing that would stop us from making money is if Bitcoin literally just stopped going up and down and it just stayed at the same price forever. Then we wouldn't be able to make money, right? And that's why a lot of times, we even had somebody in the live stream that got mad that I was like pumped about Bitcoin going down, right? And the reason for that was because I shorted right here and I was up a bunch of money, right? And I was like, oh, cool, right? And someone got mad. They're like, I'm unsubbing because you're happy that we're dumping. And I'm like, okay, I've got, you can do whatever you want, but I'm not happy because I like people in pain. I would never think that, right? I want the mafia to make money, but that's why I teach you how to make money on these drops to the downside, right? So we can all see these drops and make money. When you start to see, guys, that was like the biggest life-changing moment for me. Was like once I realized that you can make money when price goes up and down, like it totally fixes the idea of having to wait for a bull market. So if you've come into crypto and you bought up here, don't feel bad. It's a rite of passage. You got to buy a top in crypto when you first get in. I did it. Everyone I know did it, right? I don't know a single person in crypto. I don't know a single trader that has never bought a top, right? Nobody's perfect, right? But just understand, right? Like we don't need, price goes down, we make money. Price goes up, we make money. Price goes sideways, we make money, right? And if this is the bear market, this is the best time to sharpen your TA skills, understand how the market moves, and quadruple down, not only on your trading education, but also your crypto education. In case we do go into a bear market, that's when you want to pay attention. This is when you pay attention to Bitcoin, not here. If you are starting to pay attention to Bitcoin on this, like, sure, you might not be, at the bottom. I mean, you might not be buying the absolute top. Maybe we make a new all-time high. But at the end of the day, the best time to pay attention to Bitcoin is when everybody says it's dead. And it removes a lot of the emotion. Because when you like Bitcoin down here, when everyone says it's dead, you're sitting in cushy profits up here. And you don't have to worry about these big pullbacks, right? Because they're not that big when you buy in all the way down here. And if you did buy the top, just know you don't have to walk away from crypto. I think it's a bad idea to walk away from crypto. Like most people hear, oh, it's the bear market. I'll come back in a couple years. No. Oh my God, it's the bear market. That's when you focus because that's where the money's made, right? Not up here. When you start seeing, oh my God, Bitcoin just broke new all-time highs. Oh my God, right? Like that's not the time to come into crypto. So just take that for what it's worth, right? And try to learn, right? And hopefully, like I said, hopefully this is not the bear market. Hopefully we can get the bounce. Hopefully here. If not, we can just go one more sweep to the downside. Hopefully we hold those PLCs down here, and then we go up. But until then, we're going to bing-bong this thing until we can't anymore. Up and down. So shout out to the CandleMafia. I appreciate every single one of you guys for hanging out with us here. Shout out to Trey Flip Jones said, I'm buying AI stocks. I'll grab more Bitcoin at 45K. Shout out to Trey Flip Jones. I assume you assume it's the bear market. That's totally fine. You could be right, and I hope you are. I genuinely do. Shout out to Based Bailey said, Frankie, can you show Mrs. Candle's hands? I will do Mrs. Candle's double hand sniff on the fake out here to hopefully pump this thing back up. Suey confused me. I love farts. Yo, shout out to Toasty Fries. But yeah, I can take a quick look at Suey here. But like I said, guys, obviously we can't look at every single altcoin. Do a like countdown. Oh, baby, are we close? Are we close? Oh, baby. Oh, we got 1,000 likes. Oh, let's go. Shout out to the Mafia. Come on, baby. Come on. Shout out to the CandleMafia. Thank you guys so much for 1,003 likes on tonight's live stream. We will be giving away. We didn't pick what we were going to give away. Shout out to Jesse. Thank you, bro. Being the like police really pays off. I don't know. I don't know. We'll have to figure out what we're giving away. Maybe I'll figure it out on the fake out. But real quick, taking a look at Suey here. I'll just take a quick look at this. We are running out of time. But let's go ahead and see what we got going on here. So, yeah, let's go down to a lower time frame. And here we are, back within our, just get my bearings here. PLC rejection, little mini range, value profile. Okay, so we had our, to be quite honest with you guys, I don't remember exactly what we were looking at last time we looked at Suey. It's been a little while. When is this? I assume if we were looking here, we had that 786 sitting here. I marked it out. Don't hold that 786, right? That would be your, yeah, because that was your first tap of the 786. You would hope for the bounce here, but what'd you get? Bounce, lower high, and a massive dump to the downside. So, obviously, and nope, never mind. That is an old fib. So, yeah, you break down out of your volume profile. You come back down to the value area high / 786 confluence here. You get a nice little bounce, but it is this was volatile. Bounce to the value area low, rejection, bounce again off the value area high, and then you get your second rejection at the value area low. Value area lows are resistance until proven otherwise. Once you break in, you can get accepted into the range, go to the POC and the high. But obviously, resistance until proven otherwise. It's a great place to bearishly backtest before another leg down when you retest those ranges as resistance, right? Especially if you could get some kind of... Especially if you can get some kind of Fibonacci retracement level in there as well. I could try to pull from here to here. Yep, golden pocket 786. Locally, that is your lower high. That would have been a weird golden pocket to snipe, but that is confluent there. Lower high, lower lows, and then once, same way that when you get accepted into the value area low, you look for the POC and the high. Once you get stuck back into the value area high, you look to go to the POC, which I think is right here. Believe? Yeah. POC, and then once you lose that POC, you look to continue your trend down to the value area low, deviation below. Get back in, flip the value area low, go right back to the POC, get above that POC, and push back up to the value area high. Now we're going back down below the POC now. So this is definitely the range I would be looking at as of right now. POC or value area high sitting at about $2.14. Your POC is sitting at $2.06, and then your value area low at 181. So that is going to be, this is your overall range. 30-minute money flow looking to cross over into the green with your 8-hour green dot printing. So that's a market cipher B1/16th. But again, even if you come on out of here, this is your next range to the upside. So just like this was resistance on the retest, let's just say for some reason Suey breaks out here and gets a massive move into the value area low, 227. That's going to be resistance until proven otherwise. Once you get in, look to fill the range. Right? And hopefully watching these live streams constantly, you guys understand how these volume profiles play out, right? And then eventually you're going to know where you're pulling these volume profiles from, and you're going to start spotting, oh, man, right? We're losing the value area high. Oh, no, maybe the POC comes next. Oh, no, we're bearishly retesting the POC. Maybe we see the value area low next, right? And it does take a little bit of time to look at the charts to really gain confidence in what you're looking at. And that's why demo trading, that's why... just practicing in bar replay mode is absolutely huge for developing your skills, right? Because it allows you to play through the price action without having to wait days for it to play out. And you can just see how high probability your TA and your strategies are. So those are the levels I'd be looking at. If we lose this value area low again, daily naked point of control at $1.70. And then if we break out value area low at $2.27 is going to be key resistance. And if we pull our fib, let me see what this full fib gives us. From this swing high to this swing low. There you go. Golden pocket, value area low confluence. So these are the key levels. Make that purple for resistance. That's what I'd be looking at. If you can't reclaim the POC, I'd look to bing bong around in this range. If you break out, I'm looking for a potential rejection there. Once you flip that to support, POC is the next stop, in my own personal opinion. sitting at $2.37. And then we'll do one more last little check-in on Bitcoin, getting a little pop to the downside here. But yeah, we'll see. I am personally, like I said, sitting on my hands waiting for a high probability setup as we walked away with some nice 5-figure profits into the weekend last week. So yeah, kind of stinks. We had our long setup here. This is like, I'll be honest, guys, like recently I've just been getting like the worst luck on when these trades wind up setting themselves up because we did obviously have our, where's my upper range? Where's it at? Bada boom, right? We had this key level waiting down here for a potential long position, and it happens at 2 a.m. I can't win. I can't win recently. But that's okay, right? Am I tripping? No. Am I FOMO longing? No. If anything, I'd be looking for a scalp short on the way up. If not, I'm waiting to come back down. We have some areas that we're looking at in the premium Discord for some long positions. But for me personally, sometimes no trade is the best trade. And honestly, it is the most low stress trade. So anyway, guys, with all that being said, let's see. Shout out to Pitbull said, I hate the, I thought that said, I hate Frankie. I was like, dang, I've never just gotten a message that said, I hate this guy. I'm just kidding though. Shout out to Pitbull said, I hate that Frankie's always right. And the price just keeps plunging. Shout out to Pitbull. I'm sorry, bro. I'm sorry. Every time I'm bearish, I pray that I'm wrong. Because again, you know, although we do make money whether price goes up or down, I do have spot bags that only make money when it goes up. So I am a little bit more hopeful for upside. But, you know, if the charts say we're going down, guys, I got to keep the Mafia on the right side of these trades. I don't want to tell people it's going up if I truly don't think that. But with all that being said, guys, I think that's all the time we got for tonight's live stream. If you just tuned in, scrub back to the beginning of the stream. We go over everything: Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, XRP, Cardano, Sui. And I think that's it. Maybe one more in there or something. But yeah, with all that being said, guys, thank you for tuning in. Shout out to Blockchain Domain. Said, why don't you use limit orders for when you're not at the chart? Shout out to Blockchain Domain. Great question. I low-key was hoping someone was going to ask that. Shout out to Blockchain Domain. I'm going to explain this real quick. The simple answer to your question is, we talked about this in the premium Discord. Think of it this way, right? There were a couple places where we were looking for long positions on the way down here, right? Obviously, we had our first level, right? We actually had 3 big levels that we were looking at, right? 786 here, and then also this value area low still had some decent confluence. So I'm just going to come back into bar replay mode. Now I'm explaining exactly why. And now this doesn't mean that you can't use limit orders. There are situations where I use limit orders, but the reason I prefer to enter in aggressively on a market order is because of the way I trade, right? I only want to take the trade, right? I don't take trades because we hit key support. I only take trades if we hit key support and get confirmation for a reversal. Even if that reversal is going to be a lackluster bounce, right? It's all context. Like, if I think it's going to bounce a little bit, I will take that trade knowing I'm only looking for it to come up a certain amount. But the bottom line is I don't take the trade when we hit key resistance or key support, right? I need the confirmation. So, for example, we had some setups down here at the value area low. We had some other key levels in here, right? We had a daily, which is now tapped. We had a few levels in here. We had like weeklies, MPOCs. We had a lot of levels here, right? So this was actually a level that I was entertaining a potential long position at. Right? So we come back down to the value area low. I think I talked about this on the premium or on the live stream on Friday. You know, hey, if we come down first, maybe we get another opportunity to take a long position at the value area low. If I do not get confirmation here, this is literally what we were talking about on the live stream. If we don't get confirmation for that long, we don't take it and lose it, right? We just don't take the position, right? There's no confirmation. We don't take the trade, right? And then what would you do? You would wait for the next key level. Where's that next key level? Well, in our case, it was down here at that 786 / daily level. There was confluence down here, right? So we'll just say that was the second level I was looking for a long at. And we actually saw this over the weekend. I updated the Discord and told them, hey, I don't like the reaction that we got here. I'm not going to take the long position, right? So I sat it out. The setups were there, but I did not take it. I wait for lower. If I don't like the confirmations, I do not take the trade. If we lost this level, we were going to be looking down here for the next long setup, right? Now, why wouldn't I add limit orders? Well, simply because if I use limit orders, right, over the weekend, or, you know, whether it's over the weekend or whenever it winds up happening, right? If I get in here, I only want to get into the trade if I see the confirmations. If I don't see the confirmations, I don't want a part of it. Let it do whatever it thinks, right? Like, let price do whatever it wants. But I would have lost this trade. Then it would have came down. I would have got in here. I would have lost that trade. And then in hindsight, I would have come back and been like, oh, I wouldn't have even taken that trade. Oh, I wouldn't have even taken that trade either. And then when it comes down here, sure, that one would have played out. But more often than not, like, I just don't want to get into situations. And like I said, there are times where I use limit orders because I'll just set a stop loss. But for the most part, I just like to enter aggressively because, like, again, I'd rather just sit out of the trade if there's no reason, rather sit out of the trade if there's no reason. And then down here, who knows, right? We could have gotten a situation where we had a reason to enter, right? In that case, maybe the limit order plays out, right? But at the end of the day, we don't know what price action is going to look like down here. So it also could have come down and stopped me out there as well, right? Because then at that point, it's just like I'm setting limit orders at every single key level that we have, but you don't want to just take a trade at every key level that you have, right? You need a reason to actually enter. You need a trigger to say to yourself, hey, I think this is actually going to get a big bounce from here. So that's why I don't typically use limit orders. I do use them. I just don't use them as often as some people might think. And then there's also situations where like, hey, you know, what am I looking at to enter this trade, right? Like maybe price comes through the level very aggressively on a bunch of liquidations, right? We start stopping out long positions. We get a massive push to the downside. And then it wicks back up and continues to the upside, right? If I set a limit order there, even if the trade plays out, I could potentially just enter, stopped out, and then trade, and the trade goes in my favor, right? So I'm a very active trader, so I like to like really be in the price action when I take those trades, and that's just why I don't take, because again, long opportunity 1, no setup, no trade. Long opportunity number 2, no setup, no trade. This one happens at 3 a.m., but obviously, you know, if I did have a limit order there, who knows? You could just wick down off liquidations, get stopped out. At that point, it's just like, trust me, I used to do this, and there's just over time, I'm just like, you know what? I'm only going to take the trades when I see the confirmations, right? Now, what I would do sometimes, or most of the time, I'll set alerts, right? If I'm not at the chart, I get an alert on my phone, and I'm like, okay, we're at the key level. Let me see if I have confirmation to take the trade. But obviously, trading view alerts, beep, 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 don't always wake me up at 2:30 in the morning. So shout out to Blockchain Domain. Amazing question. And there you go. There's the exact answer. And I was hoping someone was going to say that because that's why, right? I could look for longs here. I could look for longs here. I could look for longs here. Doesn't mean that I just necessarily want to long that blind level. So yeah, shout out to Blockchain Domain. Great question and hopefully a great answer. But with all that being said, guys, thank you all for tuning in. I appreciate every single one of you guys for being here and smashing that like button, getting us 1,000 likes. And yeah, I don't know what we're going to give away. We got to figure out something good. We had 1,000 likes on the first live stream of the week, but I appreciate every single one of you guys. And I will see you here tomorrow, same place, same time, 5:45 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Smash that like button on your way out. We're at 1,062. I love each and every single one of you. See you tomorrow. Hasta pasta. Frankie Candles out. Bing bong.
What's next for me, Joe? I'm gonna get that second bell. Where the is it? They should have had them 2 bells ready. Spit shine for me.
Yeah. Head up in the clouds, dog, they saying I look stressed. I've been feeling down, pray to God that I'm up next. Remember when she blew me off, that's why I can't text. Now she call me petty, but I swear I can't forget. This ain't a test. Now they saying that I ball like Jerry West. Coming back for what is mine, can't take no less. I said go and take a shot, so I need your best. And stop the threats, don't know what is in me. I don't got time, I'm not giving the energy. Too many people around me, I'm finicky. I do not mess with you, dog, you're not kidding me. You don't got way too close. I've been up at the top now, so they all wait for the landslide. I seen too many people that switched up, whose man's high. Through it all, I stay the same, I swear to God, I can't lie. Been down so damn low that I came up for my life. They talk way too much on the internet, it's not real life. I swear my fam waiting, I can't lose, and I'm still right. Still right, I swear that I'm working them up till like midnight. It's real life, I got a time and I'm coming to get mine. In time, I cannot lose and I'm coming right inside. I'm in my, yeah.
No, this is a hand, guys, for sure. That was her hand. Just sniffing hands here. I gotta fix that stream deck. That was not her feet, guys. I'm not smelling Mrs. Candles' feet. I swear. Pump this thing, Mrs. Candles. Get out of here. Go pump Bitcoin. Anyway, guys, real quick, I will just say, I forgot to mention, if you are going to Bitcoin Vegas, guys, if you check the link in the description down below, I believe, is there a discount? Shout out to Tony D. I don't know if he dropped a super chat, but we do have a link in the description down below if you want to help support the channel and you are going to Bitcoin Vegas. I believe there's a discount. You'll know if you click the link. I'm pretty sure there is. But go ahead and check that out. And yeah, I just forgot to say that. I was supposed to say that at the beginning of the stream. And yeah, I share this stream. Always makes me laugh. Shout out to Dawn. Didn't look like a foot at first. Shout out to Gen X Degen. Yeah, that's because it was not a foot. It was definitely not a foot, but I got to get out of here. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Same place, same time, 5:45 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That's all I got. Hasta pasta. Frankie Candles out. Bing bong!
Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll, and it's time to run it up, yeah you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor, ayy. On the road, here we go. Yeah, we winning by a landslide. Never see me coming, I'm a landmine. Yeah, I ain't taking orders in command, like, yeah, you about to see me on demand, like, you know on demand. If you ain't know, you about to understand. Yeah, I got the team by my side, right hand. Yeah, take it to a string, you ain't seen it like that. Yeah, and it's the dream, and we coming for the bag. Yeah, and we ain't ever going back now. Future expedited, now we on the fast track now. They won't lend a hand, now they see us on the map now. It's time to act out. Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll, and it's time to run it up, yeah you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor, ayy. On the road, here we go, yeah. At the top of the class on a roll, ayy. And it's time to run it up, yeah you know, yeah. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor, yeah. On the road, here we go, here we go. Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll, and it's time to run it up, yeah you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor, ayy. On the road, here we go, yeah. At the top of the class on a roll, ayy. And it's time to run it up, yeah you know, yeah. Maxed out.